Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, my name is Dave Scott, and we are going to have fun until the daddy takes her T-bird away. Dana Louise is here. She's a self-proclaimed weirdo, so you know we're going to go to peak woo tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, so make sure you hang on out for the entire show. All right, who am I? I'm your host, Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. And you are the audience. Why are you the audience? Because you guys are freaking awesome. Absolutely freaking awesome, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a bronze medal. Race Fan with or the silver for Tim and his goatee. Bronze medal goes to Race Fan tonight. Let's get on to it, to the roll call. Let's start with Gory Tiger. Trucker Andrew, Barrett Madison, how y'all doing? The attorney at large, Michael Morris, thank you for coming on in. And what a time to develop heartburn. Right now, as I speak, I love heartburn. Yes, just burn, baby, burn. My throat is a disco inferno right now. Moving on. Little Timmy James. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow night. Frankie B has become a new member of our YouTube channel. Thank you, Frankie B, for being that guy. You're that guy. Thank you very much. And thank you, Frankie. Yeah, be like Frankie. He's that guy. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? Mama Catherine, I love you, my dear. We're going to have a great show. We're going to have a good one tonight. I can feel it. Ooh, like tonight's going to be a good night. I'm happy tonight. In the studio, how are you? Creepypasta, thanks for coming on in. Creepypasta will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show. Because Dana literally came into the show saying, Dave, if you want a good show of my weirdo-ness, the show better be lubed up. So Mel is lubing up this show as we speak. Thank you, Mel, for your exquisite lubing. Moving on down, let's say hello next to Road Flare. How you doing? And JSCO, what's happening? Thomas Rock, Noble Patrick, Necessary Dialogue. Good to have you all here. Hi there, Cosmic Joe. Noble Patrick again, because I wanted to say your name twice. Dutch Hank is here. Dutch Hank will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Scrolling on down, up next we have ST. We have Millennium, my man. And Louisville Charlie. How you doing, my friend? Jaquetta, thanks for coming on in. Dutch Hank, doing his thing, kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you, Dutch Hank. D. Sypha, how are you? Granola Grin. Ozzy Ange looking lovely tonight. Corey, how you doing? Thank you for coming on in. Matthew Goodka. And Jerence Carter, nice to see you. Let's scroll on down and let's say thank you to the awesome Cat Chaser for an awesome super chat. We love you, Super Cat. Super Cat, the super chat. Lisa Smith, how are you? Mel WD40 kicking in as well. Thank you, Mel, for that lube chat. Really appreciate that. Pam Harris, how are you? And I think I got them all. Yes, so far. Good job, Dave. You're the best. Skip to Malou, good morning to you. And Philip Blair, good morning to you. Candace, thanks for coming on in. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Dana Louise is here. She is going to tell us about what it's like to be a weirdo. Yeah, we're going to get to it. I think her and I may have some things in common. Aliens, ghosts, and you name it. We're in roll call on our YouTube side. We're going to say hello to Sensational Shelley. We're going to say hello to Jay Truthseeker. James Whitkiss, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And, do me a favor, everybody. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And you could join our YouTube membership as well. Our Spaced Out Radio store at our website, we do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you pick some up. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together, my friends. Oh. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We are going to have an amazing show tonight. First time on this show, Dana Louise is going to be here. Why? Because she's got some woo. She's a self-proclaimed weirdo. And we're going to take that full stop tonight for the next couple of hours. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us to kick off another spooky story. We're going to follow that one up with Extra Small, Lee Strauss, and the Q&A. So let's get right to this. Let's find out what kind of weirdo we're dealing with tonight. Dana Louise is a wife, a mother of 2 sons. She lives in St. Paul, Minnesota, and has worn many hats over the decades. Today, Dana focuses on speaking out about her life experiences back in the early 1960s and are all covered in her memoir, This Is Going to Sound Weird, which can be found on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Please know that 10 months after this was published, a mysterious man handed Dana a classified file about her father. Inside was complete proof of his involvement with NASA and more. Dana feels that she was traded for alien technology since infancy. Oh, see what I mean? We're going peak woo, and we haven't even claimed the intro yet. This is what we want around here. To hell with the intro. Let's just get right to her. Dana Louise, you fellow weirdo, how you doing? Thank you for joining us on Spaced Out Radio.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pumped right up for this. I can tell you that right now because I you know what? Let me put it this way, because I'm so excited. I'm already stumbling and fumbling. It's one thing for research. We bring a lot of researchers on this show, but man, does this show get way better when we have personal experiences, such as yourself. So I am very, very pumped up to have you here and tell us your story. So I'm just going to hit you right between the eyes. Who is Dana Louise?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm still asking myself. I probably will never figure it out. So there you go. I don't know. I'm a mom and a housewife, and I'm an experiencer, and I try to pretend that I'm not because it's like my whole life has been so much too much. A lot of times I just want to be in denial, but there's been a lot of witnesses, which is like awesome because they remind me that things happened and that it was real and that it was true. And I think that's awesome. And that's why we're talking tonight, because like we're all kind of witnessing for each other, that kind of thing. I'm just telling my experiences. So yeah, I'm an experiencer or an abductee. I learned I'm an abductee, not a contactee. That like there's a difference. And because I'm kind of like no bueno to being abducted. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah. And then I think I'm just so weird that every oddity in the entire universe started to stop by and check me out. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I don't know. I'm weird.
At what point in your life did you realize you were an experiencer?
I was in my crib. I mean, that's when the Greys started to visit me, when I was in my crib. And I remember that. I mean, I have a first memory of being in my crib and the Greys showing up. Now, let me tell you, and this is true for like almost everything I say. I always like throw caution to the wind of like, this is my first memory, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen before. And I just don't remember it, because I think that's also true for so many people in the world, that they don't know that they've been abducted or had contact, because, they erase your memory. And, so many times people don't remember it at all. And so to be fair, that's all I can say is I remember being in my crib. I was too little to even stand up. So, maybe 9 months old. And that's when it all started. And it just was like chronic for years, to the point where I was like a little girl, had this little bag. Like, okay, so I'm a boomer. I was born in the early 60s. And we had this, like this, here I am as a little pickle. There I am. Anyway, so I had a little bag like that. Well, I was about this age. And I was giving them tours, the Greys tours of my house, like I was a real estate agent. It's kind of like, here's a dog and all that kind of stuff. So it evolved. And I don't really know what they did to me. Well, I do know, like, one time there was like, one time at band camp, it was during the day. And that's when I got like a tag. And I remember that because it was during the day. And that was a different troop. But the guys, or the things that used to visit me at night, I only have so many memories of it, but I wouldn't fully know what went on the whole night. And I think that's just true for being around aliens from the get-go. So I think they erase a lot of what happens, or you forget it because it's too shocking or something like that. And so a lot of things have happened to me over the years. A lot of contact until I'd had enough, and then I had to shut all that down. Thank God, whatever. Anyway, but I don't want to know, because a lot of people are like, oh, don't you want to go under hypnosis and know more? I'm like, nope, I know enough. I don't need to know more. And that's the thing. That's the difference between somebody who's been abducted and somebody who hasn't, at least for me. All I can say is always this is for me. I don't want to know more. And, I think when you're curious, you're like, oh, wouldn't that be so cool? I'm going to tell you, no, it's not that cool. No, how do you describe it? It's like, it's shocking. It's traumatic. So why would you want to know more than you remember? And this is just for me. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Did your family have a history of contact and high strangeness?
No. Nope. I was the high strangeness. I mean, and my brother and sister couldn't be more normal, and my mom and dad. My sister knew I was weird because, and if anybody out there, and I'm sure your audience knows, Sabrina Wallace. Somebody sent me. Well, I knew about her a couple of years ago, but somebody sent me a video, and she talked about how. And she's like, you know how I don't know if you know Sabrina. She's like, rah, 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 and she talks really fast, but she's like, and then they send the ETs to you and they zap you with psionics and stuff like that. And like, what the heck is psionics? So I'm looking it up, or psionics. I think that's how you call it. I'm like, oh my God, that's what happened to me. So I will tell you this, after the Grays, because like I said, I didn't remember every time they came and visited me, but here was the clue. After the visitation, I would be changed. I would have like strange, I don't know if I want to say powers or abilities. You could say maybe I was magnetized or something was different with me, so that I was able to mess around with like electronics. Like they would go haywire or something like that. And I would have like odd things would really, really happen to me. And this would be very strong for about 2 or 3 days, and then it would go away. So, and I loved it. I thought it was really cool, but my sister hated it. She was 7 years older than me. She hated me anyway. But but she hated it because it would like, I'd be like, ooh, like, look at this. I could change this light or do something like that. And she just, she didn't think that was cool because she wanted to be more special. I don't know, older siblings. But anyway, so a lot of times I couldn't remember that the ETs had visited. But then in the morning, if I woke up and I'm like, oh, I have the abilities again, I'm like, oh, they must have visited me. And for years and years, remembering that I had been visited would just kind of float away like a balloon string. They would just like, ooh. And there was always like this voice that's like, you got to remember, try to remember this. But when my parents were older, about to, like at the end of their life, I hate to say it that way, I was just so curious. And this is long before. So my dad passed in 2010 and my mom a number of years after that. But I had to ask, I'm like, did you guys ever see UFOs or ETs or something like that? And I wish I had a camera on my dad's face, because I'd like to know now if he was lying or if he just was booped, like they erased his memory and he doesn't really remember. Because come on, the stuff he was doing, I think he was reverse engineering the Roswell spacecraft and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I found out in that file. We'll get to that in a minute. But they denied ever knowing. And I never said anything to them as a child or growing up that I had contact, and the only person that knew this was the little girl who lived behind me. And we remember talking about it when we were babies, when we were little, but I hadn't seen her in a million years. And then recently, just a few years ago, I ran into her again and we started talking. And I don't know why I just started to blurt out about the ETs. It's like, oh my God, in my head, I'm like, Dana, why are you saying this? She's going to think you're weird. Well, you are weird. Well, whatever. And she stopped me and she said, Dana, I remember that. I remember the humming and the vibrations of the ships visiting. And so that was confirmation for me that she remembers when they would come to my house a couple of times. She doesn't remember every time, but she's a witness to say, yeah, they visited your house. And I was a baby in my crib. And she said the word she used was petrified. She said she remembered being petrified when the visitations would happen. So, and then we kind of vetted that for her to be like, because I was worried that maybe she had been in contact as well, but no. So I really think it had a lot to do with my dad. But then, everybody gets into like, like ancestry background and all this kind of stuff. So there's just so many variations or variables that could be the reason why this happened. But I don't know. There's a lot of smoking guns or whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Why do you think this was happening to you and not your siblings?
Because I think, just to be fair, I think I might have more ESPN. I don't know. Like maybe I have more of the gift. Perhaps I was born with the gift more, because that's one of the things when, like, I don't know. Okay. And I don't get into all this researcher background or something like that, but I do kind of feel that when you're talking about the space program, and we can get into the super space program, because I got escorted out of the ETs, and then the next thing you know, I'm in the super space program as a child, and that's a huge thing, and that's a problem. It's very, very upsetting to me. But anyway, yeah. So I just I think that, because when you talk to the aliens, you're not talking with your mouth. You use telepathy. And I think some people are chosen because they have a gift of telepathy. And my dad's mother had the gift. That's, back in the day, that's what we would call it, the gift. The gift of knowing, or whatever you want to call the gift. Whatever. Thanks for the gift. It's kind of an empty box, if you ask me. But anyway, yeah, so I think that's why. And maybe that's all I can say is probably I had more of that. No, thank you. Anyway.
You said this started in childhood and you have a lot of memories about that. What about through, your adolescent years going into teenagehood? How was that for you?
Well, thank you very much for bringing that up. So I have some receipts, people. So here's what happened. And this is when I think I got cast out of the ET program and got put into the super space program. And the voice told me, keep this name tag. So I'm going to bring it up here and hopefully you can see it. Now, okay, everybody, I do have down here, I put a Post-it note over my actual maiden name, and I put, Louise with a little heart. So my dad, if you can see it, he wrote Dana, but I covered up my name because I am incognito. I don't want people to find me. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is protection for my family, Okay. So if you can see, it says presidential visit, Rochester, Minnesota. And then October, I think it's 29th, 1970, special guest presidential visit. So, okay. I'm in elementary school. I'm 8 years old, 1970. They take me out of school. They drag me down. So I'm in Fridley, Minnesota, kind of like 20 minutes north of the Minneapolis airport. We drive all the way down to Rochester. I remember going and picking up the name tag, walking out to the tarmac, and we're standing outside. I don't know why. And all of a sudden, here comes Air Force One. And out pops Pat Nixon and Tricky Dick. And Pat walks up to me and hands me a long stem red rose. And I don't even remember her saying anything or something. And then she's whisked off in a limo. And I don't remember what all went on, but all I remember is her coming up to me directly, coming off the airplane, handing me a long stem red rose. And then afterwards, the media came and interviewed me, and like KSTP, WCCO, and stuff like that. So it was the radio mostly and the newspaper. But so that's kind of like proof that it happened outside of this name tag. But and then the voice said to me, part of the gift said, hey, you should look up the presidential diary. And I'm like, what's the presidential diary? I don't know. And so I did. There's a presidential diary, and you guys can go and look at it too. Here, class. Anyway, so this is the what do you call it? Manifest. I think manifest, is that what you call it? The manifest or whatever of the airplane and the flight and who's all on it. And so if you can look, it says the president, and then they got Haldeman and just random people. I think there's like 33, 34, and then the press down at the bottom and stuff like that. But who's not on here? And this is for the flights of that day. Who's not on here? Pat Nixon. So when I was writing my book, I always just knew I had the name tag, and that's cool and stuff like that. But then when I was writing the book, all of a sudden it occurred to me, oh my God, this is like a Masonic symbol. That's how I was taking it. I'm like, oh my God, this is like Illuminati stuff or something like that. And that's when like go look up the diary, but she's not on the flight manifest. So if that flight went down, poor Pat Nixon, like, where's Pat? Anyway, so I thought that was kind of weird, which also lends to me saying like something weird was going on there. And it was about this time. So I'm 8 years old. And here's what was going on in my life. My dad, who was an electrical engineer, who we can get into the file in a little bit. Anyway, he said he quit his job. And then at his funeral, a man came up to my sister and myself and said, oh, I don't know why they fired your dad. and we're looking at each other, fired him because he was a genius. He transformed the supercomputer. We'll get into that in a minute, stuff like that. Anyway, and so, my takeaway recently was like, okay, both things can be true. I'm always about both things can be true. Okay. So my dad quit and my dad got fired because I think right about this time when I got the red rose, because I'm transitioning out. I'm you're not a little kid anymore. I think in this particular program, my belief is in this particular program,
Right.
ETs wanted to be with smaller children because they're less combative, easier to manipulate or something like that. They don't want teenagers, smelly, stinky teenagers and stuff like that, who probably have switchblades. Who knows? Anyway, so it was about that time my dad quit and or got fired. But I think what was going on was I think they were saying to him, oh, Dana needs to go to Camp Montauk. And so I think my dad was like, oh, hell no, she won't go. And so then they're like, okay, you're fired. Boop. Because after that, life got hard around our household. Him finding another job and all this kind of stuff. He was kind of blacklisted a little bit, which he shouldn't have been because he was a genius. But I think this all lends into the whole, I was supposed to go to Montauk. My dad said no, and I'm quitting. And right about at the same time is when, so I think that contract was done and a new contract was supposed to happen. And I'm not sure any agreements with my dad, how that went. I have no idea. But all I do know is that right about the same period, I found myself standing outside in the front yard and in the middle of the night, and the sky started to, the first time, the sky started to rip open. It was like, and there was vibration again and humming, and I'm going to make the sound for everybody so you can hear it. And apparently, like on one of these like video games, they call it Legion. And also a number of years later, many years later, like as an adult, like just 10 years ago for me now, but back then I didn't know. Anyway, the voice said to me, yeah, Dana, they make this sound. The Tibetan monks make this sound. The didgeridoo is the sound. This is not, because I always took it as a form of prayer or meditation or to put them in a different state, trance state or something like that. Like, no. They did this vibrationally. They were trying to open up the portal for the spaceships to come in, because the spaceships used to come in and out, and this is the sound. And now I'm going to make the sound. Thank you for your patience. It's like, I'm going to try to do it. It's kind of like that. I don't want to do it. It's like, okay, the didgeridoo, Tibetan monk singing, throat singing, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm standing there. I'm a kid, and the sky is ripping open, and I'm getting the chills. That's so weird. And these big ships come in, and they're met by smaller ships. So it's kind of like there's a space program, and we were waiting for these big ships to come in, but there wasn't really battles, like no big clashes or something like that. It was kind of more like an aggression thing, like, hey, we're here, this kind of stuff. So I watched that a couple of times. And the funny thing is, not funny. If you've seen the TV show Big Bang Theory,
Yes.
Sheldon's girlfriend, Amy, wears the same nightgown, which I am sure, I don't know. I'm like, I just swear to God, I feel like it's not a quinky dink, like she's wearing the same nightgown that I was wearing back then. It's just this really ugly, like prairie dress with a yoke and these just really random patterns and stuff like that. It's just ugly and you can't find them anymore. So why are they putting Amy in this old timey nightgown, PJs? And that's what I was wearing. So when I see Amy, it's kind of triggering for me a little bit to see this. Anyway, so I'm standing out there. And this happened a couple of times. And then the next thing I know, I'm on a ship. Oh, lucky me. So thinking about it now, it's like, oh, so that's what they did. They did a back door. Like, well, we can't get her dad to cooperate. How about her? Hey, little girl, you like Star Trek. How about a big shiny spaceship? You want to see a big shiny spaceship? Oh, sure. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing, so now I'm in agreement, right? I mean, who knows, how I agreed or anything like that. But the next thing you know, I'm on these ships.
Hold that thought. Dana Louise, she's a weirdo. She's telling us her amazing story of experience. on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, we're going to find out about her being a child secret space programmer and her dad at NASA. Oh, it's going to be a fun next half hour. All right, we're clear. Good start.
Yay.
Good start.
I was looking at my camera. I'm so sorry. Swirl your arms more so I can see
Oh, you're having fun. That's all that matters. We are getting into the woo side. You're going to take us to peak woo tonight.
Okay.
So I always like a generous amount of woo to go into my night.
Yeah, you're going to go. I don't have any answers. Okay. So that's my thing. That's my story. I don't have answers. I just have my experiences, and that's all I can do is report. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And even well, we could talk about this on the show, but I mean, even after I wrote the first book, it's other memories come up or something like that, or I get other information because I literally, what I say is I hid myself in the cosmic closet. I didn't really want. Well, it's kind of like working at Pizza Hut all the time. It's after a while you get sick of pizza, except for most of my growing up, there wasn't any pizza. I mean, there were no shows or, we didn't have the internet. Excuse me. Now I'm going to burp. And I burp when I'm clearing energy and stuff like that. I apologize, but that kind of happens. But it's so now we have this, but it's almost too much for me. And some of it's kind of triggering a lot of times. But then memories will pop up. So it's kind of in my book, I wrote about a couple of things, and then I'm, taking pause or learning more. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's what that was. I'm still figuring things out, and I will always be fluid with that. What is truth, right? We don't know, things change, and, you can perceive something and it might not be exactly what you think it is. So, yes. All those good things.
The one thing about the phenomena is it treats everybody differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
No two experiences are alike.
Right. And that's the thing is and then we can't judge others for their story. I can't sit there and say, oh yeah, really, whatever, because it's no, that's their experience. And don't I want them to listen open-mindedly to my experience? Yeah. And my nose is leaking. Hang on a second. So excuse me. Better do it now. Anyway, so, we all have to stay open-minded and open-hearted and, to put the pieces together, right? Because I might say something that might be a memory for somebody else and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Or might wake them up a little bit. So, but we got to stay non-judgmental because this world is weirder than we've been allowed or shown, we don't know. And I'm digging it more and more and more holy moly, let's go back 14 billion years and what was this planet like? I mean, come on. I mean, we think we're it. We think we're the,
it wouldn't have been as fun. There were no mullets back then.
No mullets. Oh,
no.
Did you wear a mullet?
Of course. I played hockey. You had to.
Oh, did you play hockey? Oh, that's right. What a dumb question. You're from Canada.
Yes.
Canada. Do. You know that song?
Canada. Yeah.
Do you know that song though?
Yep. Jeremy Jones, how are you? Seymour, good to have you here. Hi, Delilah. And yeah, we're good.
See, now you know I'm old, right?
Phenomena.
Anyway. How much time do we have before we go back?
We have about 1 minute.
Okay.
Hi, Kimberly Burgess. How are you? Sylvain Gonneau. How are you? right. We got about 30 seconds. Big thank you tonight to Forrest Louie, Walter, Creepypasta, Trucker Andrew, Dutch Hank, Awesome Cat Chaser, Mel WD40, Kitty Caddywhack, and JSCO for the great super chats. We greatly appreciate your love. Thank you to Frankie B for joining our YouTube membership. We appreciate that as well. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check that out. Babylon Rose, how are you? Here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Experiencer Dana Louise is here, telling her amazing story about a life of being a weirdo. Literally. You got a book out. Tell us the book and where we can find it.
It's called well, I mean, I had a friend. I was talking to my friend. I'm like, what am I going to call this book? Because nothing was coming forward. And then she was like, you know how you talk and you always say, this is going to sound weird. Why don't you just call your book that? So, yep, it's called This Is Gonna Good English Sound Weird. And you can find it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Yep. And if you're curious, you can go to my website, which is danalouise.com. Ooh, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it's very simple. Oh gosh, hopefully it'll be up because they keep attacking my website. I mean, imagine that. They always say, hey, if you're in the battle, expect to get shot at. So they're always like messing with my website. I've had to pay a couple of times. I guess apparently it was down for the last 4 days. It's just whatever. So sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, but don't be afraid if you get like this warning before you go to my website, which is hilarious to me because I'm like, that speaks to me like you must not really want me to be speaking out because you're doing all this to my website like it's malicious or something like that. It's delicious, not malicious. But anyway, so don't be afraid. There's nothing that's going to happen to it's GoDaddy, for heaven's sakes. You know what I mean? GoDaddy's not going to hurt you. But if there's a warning, just know that this is part of what it's like to be speaking out. They come after you. And in fact,
right,
they messed with my book and stuff like that. I mean, it's just hilarious, the things they do. Anyway.
Question for you.
Yeah.
In regards to your childhood, you said that you believe you may have been part of some sort of secret space program. What gave you the clues to this?
Memories. I mean, knowing and seeing and stuff like that. Being on the ships above the planet. Now, there's other people that talk about 20 and back and stuff like that. And to be fair, I have clues, smoking guns, but I don't have really any memories of that. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. What I do remember, though, is being above Earth and being on an open bay door. And at that time, I kind of termed it as they're harvesting souls. However, I'm not quite sure if it wasn't that they were harvesting loosh, or maybe they were harvesting souls. I'm not quite sure of what the program was. Okay, so that's when I was on various craft in above the planet, this and that. However, I've also been on watercraft and waterways. So when I saw this, I think it's Netflix 3-Body Problem. I think that's what it's called, where there's some aliens coming. And I think it was a big series on books. That would be amazing. And I hope Netflix continues the show. But anyway, all of a sudden I was like seeing this cruise ship or something going down the Panama Canal. I'm like, oh, snap. That was triggering because I'm like, I remember being on a ship, walking through the galley, kind of like the cafeteria eating part and watching that background. I've been on a lot of river waterways missions and stuff like that. And usually I'm witnessing and I'm hiding, and I'm also hiding with other people. But we're not talking to each other. We're kind of independent. But I'm seeing insignias on the ships, and I'm seeing different like craft. I don't want to say like helicopters, but things lifting on and off with dignitaries and all that kind of stuff. And I'm witnessing that. And I've also been to like small airports, witnessing people coming and going and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure what happened there. I can't tell you if I went out of the super space program and got into a witness program or something like that. But I think I'm more like eyes on the ground, and I think I'm witnessing to make sure that people are playing fair or playing good. And I'm working for, I don't think I'm with the white hats because, but I'm sure the white hats know who I am. And if everybody knows who the white hats and the black hats are, it is not the computer programmers. They are the people that are working up in space. Whether you want to think they're good, I don't know. That's.
Do you have any recall from being in space during this time?
I not with the super space program, not that I can recall. Like I said, but there are various clues that I could have been in attendance and done that. I hope not, but there are things that say to me that I probably was. Now, do I want to get hypnosis and remember that? No, I really don't. I've had enough. I'm up to here with all this stuff. I'm like, I really don't want to know anymore about it.
Well,
but go ahead.
Let me ask you this, and how do you feel that you were indoctrinated into this program?
Well, because I think at that time I had, gifts and these psionics and different abilities and stuff like that. So I think that's also why they probably wanted to take me to Montauk. And, so I had abilities, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of little kids that are in this program that don't remember it. And there's a movie out there called Ender's Game, which is very much what this is like. And this is all about, I think our government, or whoever you want to call it, shadow government or something like that, uses children to work on a lot of these flights because children are malleable. Children are quick learners, and they think it's curious and fun and exciting and stuff like that, where teenagers and older people are like, I gotta go to work. Where's my pension? That kind of stuff. So, and I do have to tell you that when I was writing my book, it occurred to me, and I spoke about this earlier in the first half hour. I was kind of make this quick because we got so much to go over. Anyway, I was a little girl, probably about 4 or 5 years old. Across the street was this lake. I'm at the last yard, probably about 6 houses away from my house, blah, 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 blah. And there's train tracks, blah, blah, whatever. And I'm down by the water. And all of a sudden I'm booped up into the woods. And it's daytime, I'm with other kids, and it's a different species of grays. So to me, when you say gray, it's like saying dog. Like you got Chihuahuas, you got Great Danes. That, to me, that's how I term grays. These were a little taller, but you couldn't really see them, and it's daytime. And then the next thing you know, I'm booped back down to the water. And what happened was, well, first of all, I was kind of like Barry in Close Encounters. I'm like, come on. Like, friends, like, let's play kind of a thing, because I thought that's cool. Like, I can introduce you to my friends. I'm like, I thought that was great. But then I realized that they weren't there, that they were gone. And I felt a sharp pain in the upper cheeks of my buttocks. So they had tagged me, and it was painful. So I ran home, and I had to use my little stool to get up onto the counter, and we had this big mirror in the bathroom. It's an old 50s Rambler anyway. And I looked, and I had this punch hole above my buttocks, cheeks. Okay, so that happened. Now, okay, fine. But then I opened up my book with this chapter because I'm like, how do you start this whole everything that's happened to me? And my son's like, you got to Tarantino it. And I'm like, what? Like, bring something from the middle of your story to the front just to get people involved. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to pick something pretty easy because otherwise I don't want to scare people away. Anyway, so legitimately, I'm sitting down here 2 houses away. My neighbor still lives there, and she wrote on the back of my book, we're standing there gabbing away. We're just a couple of housewives with kids the same age and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there picking the back of my neck because I thought I had a zit. And you know how you sit there and you're like doing something like this, and your brain is thinking about that, like, oh, I got a zit. Like, I wonder what kind of zit it is. Meanwhile, you're talking to your friend. Anyway, so I'm doing that, like, oh, this big zit. Like, I wonder if it's got pus and all that kind of stuff. And then I looked at it, and it wasn't white pus or anything. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I'm looking at it, and she's talking, and now I'm ignoring her. I'm like, holy Moses, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what? And I'm like, look. And she's like, oh my God, that's a microchip. And I'm like, and she goes, that just came out of your neck. And then she's like lifting up my hair and looking at the back of my neck. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, it's not bleeding. It was open. And she's like, this is a microchip. And then she took it off my finger, and she's trying to like disintegrate it or, you know, smash it or whatever. She goes, well, it's not breaking up. Like, cause I'm like, is this dirt or soot? Like it could just fall apart easily, but it didn't under the pressure of both of our fingers. And then we're standing there looking at it like, and it disintegrated. Just in the open air, it just went boop, and then it was gone.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah. And so I don't know if this is the thing that they stuck in the back of my buttocks and it worked all the way up, or was this a different tracking device? I don't know what it was. And it wasn't like, it was to the side, like where that bump, whatever that bump is, kind of, that's where it was. It wasn't like on the back of my spine or anything like that. So I don't know if it had always been there. And the thing is, we were trying to do etheric extractions of alien technology. Well, I wasn't, but she's just as weird. She's like, oh, Dana, you've been in contact with ETs. You probably are filled with a bunch of like tracking devices and microchips and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. So then this came out after I went to this, her last name was like Wentworth, and she was like etherically working on me. And then this thing popped out. And I'm like, well, I guess I got my money's worth. But this was back in like the 90s, the mid 90s. So we didn't have cell phones really, you know, and it was probably some old flip phone. I probably didn't even have one at that time. I don't even think I had a cell phone at that time. There would be no need. They were too basic anyway. But so yeah, our actual chip came out of my neck, and it was witnessed. And that's the thing, again, I love about, you know, always growing up, I always said to God, I'm like, God, why all the witnesses? And God said to me, because Dana, you wouldn't believe it yourself. And I'm like, you got that right, buddy. Because the things that have happened to me, yeah, a lot of them, I'm like, this is just too weird. I don't know, but I'm glad that there've been always other witnesses around me that can support what's happened. So that's me, you know. Anyway.
Do you feel that you were targeted because of your dad's position within NASA?
Could be. So the thing is, so everybody knows, I wrote my book, came out in 2023, April. And then the next February, and I got a phone call, and I normally don't take phone calls at all because I think it's going to be spam, you know, whatever. And so my message even says, you know, hi, don't leave a message because I'm not going to whatever. And I don't pick up the phone if I don't know who you are. But I was waiting for a healthcare call. So I did pick it up, and it was a guy, and he's like, don't hang up. I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, do you know Don? You know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. Now, my dad died in 2010. This is 23. And he goes, well, I bought a desk 30 years ago, And see the bologna sandwich. He's just so full of bologna. This guy, this big lie. He's like, I got this desk 30 years ago and I was just cleaning it out. And behind one of the drawers is a file and it's about your dad. Would you like to have it? And I'm like, sure. Okay. So then I'm, hippity hopping over to meet this guy. So this is on a Friday. So he was very structured in what time frame and timelines I could meet him, which was really weird. But I'm like, oh yeah, this whole thing is going to be strange. And I don't know if who and how he is, but I'm thinking already that he's ex-CIA or with the Alliance. Some people thought he might have been a half-bred or something like that, half-breed. And people are like, you just went and met him all by yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't have any fear. I mean, you know what? If they wanted me, they could have had me. I'm not going to disappear now. I'm too old. I'm out of commission.
Have you ever got any conviction from anybody, that maybe worked with your dad or worked within the program to say, this is the reason why you were here, this is who took you, any type of information like that?
No, nobody's going to say that. No, nobody's going to say that. They probably, even if you had that high clearance, they don't even talk about it that way amongst themselves. I mean, everything's very hush hush. I mean, people are in the know. And if you don't know, you don't need to know. I mean, that's kind of how that is. And so no, nobody's going to say anything. And anybody who worked in those programs, for fear of their life, they are not going to say boo. I guarantee you. And in fact, I know my mother didn't know anything about my dad working with NASA. And this file, and it's right here, I'll tell you. And I'm a mom, okay? I said that earlier. Here's the file, and look how clean it is. Pristinely clean. Now, okay, the guy said that this was found in a desk that he's had for 30 years, and he said he got it from like UNIVAC or something like that. I'm like, dude, UNIVAC's been out of commission for I can't even tell you how many years. So fail. And then no felt, because any desk drawer or any kind of drawer is a felt maker, felt creator, right? It's just all the felt, and everything inside here is pristine. And I asked him, I'm like, oh, were you an engineer? And he goes, no, I'm an IT guy. And I'm like, okay, fail again, because when I got this home, this file goes from 1960 to 2008. And you're an IT guy, and this was 2024, the beginning 2024. I'm like, that's not 30 years ago, buddy. I'm just loving his bologna sandwich. And people are like, well, didn't you bust him on him? I'm like, I'm not going to bust him. I want to hear all the lies. This is very entertaining. I thought it was hilarious. And I'm blonde, so he thinks, I'm sure he knew I wasn't stupid. But we both pretended that I was, so that worked. But anyway, in the file, one of the papers, and I have this on my website and my Facebook thing or whatever. And I didn't know. The voice or spirit said to me, take a picture of this one thing and then post it on Facebook. And I'm like, okay, and I hide all the things that, like personal information. And it said, writes Patterson. And so that's when people like old boomers that, with MUFON or something, they're like, oh, so your dad was reverse engineering the Roswell crash. Well, and some of these papers say, NASA, that my dad was talking to NASA and all this kind of stuff, working with NASA on these different things. And it's all in here, like all these different things we never knew he was working on. And the thing of it is that if my mom knew that my dad had been around NASA in any way, shape, or form, I guarantee you at the Bridge Club, she'd be like, well, Don and NASA, Don and NASA, Don works with NASA. Don speaks for NASA. And those words never came out of her mouth. So I know she had no clue what my dad was doing. Not a clue. And in fact, I don't even know if my dad knew, because I guarantee you the neuralizer where they boop you, yeah, that's for reals. So I don't know how much my dad even knew that he was doing. And this file, and that was the thing. The guy who handed me the file, he's like, I wish I knew your dad. I wish I worked with your dad. And I was like, hey, fool, you just said you bought this random desk from Honeywell. And I think he worked, I can't remember where the heck he said he was working. You're an IT guy. why do you want to know my dad? Why would you want to work with him and stuff like that? You just found this file. But anyway, the weird thing is, just about a month or two earlier, I'd been praying. I'm good at manifesting stuff. It's one of my things, whatever. So I was praying because my dad had involvement with, now we were Republicans, my parents growing up, and Hubert Humphrey was a Democrat. And I was like, God, when my dad died, we just shoveled everything out of his office. I hadn't written a book. That was like not even on my mind or anything like that. And I'm like, I wish I had pictures of Hubert Humphrey and my dad. Well, hey, guess what's in the file? Pictures of Hubert Humphrey and my dad, and political pictures and all this kind of stuff. And then also they have, and here's the supercomputer. I didn't know what this was, so I went to a MUFON meeting. They're like, yeah, that's the supercomputer. I'm like, okay, well, that's the thing my dad must have invented.
Describe what it is, because our radio audience can't see pictures.
Oh, dang. Okay, so it's a very old-timey 1960 kind of picture of these dudes, very much white collar, thin black ties, with wearing high knees and funny glasses, with a chalkboard behind them and a piece of technology. It just looks like a square bread box with knobs on the front, and that's your computer. Oh, and then another thing I didn't know, that I came to realize, that in our basement growing up, my dad had this little box, like a size of a shoebox, about that size, but the front was the fat side, the thicker side of it, with dials and gadgets and stuff. And I said to my dad, as a little girl, what is this? And he goes, oh, that's like a radio. And I talk to people around the world. Okay, so just like a year or two ago, I suppose, after, I'm starting to do all this with my book, and I'm like, what the heck? That's impossible. Because I'm talking about the 60s and 70s. Like, I don't know what happened to this radio, but another person from MUFON said, oh, he had a clamshell. Because I'm like, there was no tower. We didn't have a ham radio operating tower. There was no cable that it was plugged into, and it was in the basement. Like, how is my dad talking around the world with this box in the basement? And, talking, there's nothing it's connected to. It's just plugged into the wall. And they're like, oh, that's a clamshell. They're like, he must have been very deep state if he owned something like that. And in this papers, it talks about he was professional radio something or another, but he was also part of the radio guy in Korea when he was in a tank. And I'm going to be digging into that whole scenario and starting to write a second book and digging into all that, because I'm like, that whole Manchurian Candidate stuff, I'm very curious. And I think there's some little tidbits or something that I'm going to learn that might help put some more pieces of the puzzle back together. But yeah, so this file has got a lot of stuff, some random things, like they swiped my parents' Christmas card list. That's in here. And I remember when my dad said he was bringing the Christmas card list to his secretary, and she was going to type it up and put it on labels that you could pull off, and then you could stick it on the envelope and all that kind of stuff. And that was fascinating. And so here in this file was like 3 or 4 pages of, handwritten and other things of like my whole parents' Christmas card list, because they're tracking him, right? It's just the weirdest file. And what I loved about it, was because my husband, first of all, I never said anything about ghosts or ETs or UFOs. And I got so much stories to tell you. Anyway, never brought up that I'm weird, because I'm trying to pretend I'm normal, right? Even though I'm not.
Right.
And so I never brought it up. And then I started to write the book, and he was really doesn't want to read it, doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to, just keep it away from me. All of your weirdness, now really encapsulate it and keep it away. And when I got this file and it exploded onto our kitchen table, and I'm like, look at this, it's NASA, look at this. It says classified. It's classified official papers. Okay. And he sat there like somebody shot his dog because he was like, okay, what she's saying is real. this really went down. This really happened. And yeah.
I'm going to get you to hold
So-
on right there, because when we return after the break on Spaced Out Radio, we are going to get into Dana's father. What did he do for NASA? How does it tie in to UFOs? Maybe even Roswell. It's a mystery that she is trying to crack. Will she? We'll have to find out. This is Spaced Out Radio, Hour 2, coming up right after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right. We have about let's see here. About 6
Excuse
minutes
me.
before we got to come back. I'm going to put you back in the green
Wow.
room, and I'll be right back, okay?
Oh, do you mean I
Sound
can go
good?
pee?
Yeah.
I should.
Okay. Have fun.
See you in a minute.
All right. Hi, John Jackson. How you doing? I'll be right back, everybody. All right. I am back. We got about a minute left. Let's bring Dana back in.
Hello.
Damn heartburn.
Hey, have you tried apple cider vinegar yet?
Oh, that shit's gross.
But wait, have you tried it for your heartburn?
No, because I don't ingest gross stuff.
Oh, okay.
Sleepy.
Well, what do you want? Heartburn or 2 seconds? You know what? Because you probably done a Yag shot. You know what I mean? Like, that's disgusting. So take some apple cider
It's
vinegar.
better than
the
apple
organic.
cider vinegar, and the results are much better.
No. Oh my God.
Hold on right
Anyway.
there, because we got 20 seconds left. Hi, Sleepy Howell. How are you? Anybody else come on in that I haven't said hello to? Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Stacy, thanks for joining us. Hi, Free Your Mind. Thank you to our super chatters, Dutch Hank, Cat Chaser, Mel WD40, Kitty Cattywhack, JSCO, Trucker Andrew, Creepypasta, Walter, and Louie. Here we go. Comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us, as we appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Tectiform. Tectiform is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, this is Dana Louise. Let's reintroduce our guest tonight. She is an experiencer. She has a book out saying this is going to be weird. Oh, it's so good. So good. Dana, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because it's like you are holding space for people such as myself, but for your audience. And this is like, as a child, it's like I knew and I didn't know. It's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to share what I know, what's happening to me. I'm always going to have to be mute and never talk about this. But there was something in my heart like, no, at some point it's going to happen. So you're the integral person connecting all of us together. I'm able to speak out. I never thought I would, first of all. And I thank you to everybody that's listening. And thank you for having an open mind and an open heart. And I sincerely appreciate that, because this is, sometimes then I get teary-eyed, because this is hard for me to do. It's not easy, and because it hasn't been fun. You might think it is. I mean, it's been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but thank you. And did you know tonight, full sturgeon moon and 8/8 Lionsgate? So like you were saying earlier, like how you're kind of in a good mood or something like that. Keep those good vibes going, because it's a very auspicious, celestial evening.
Tell us about the history of your dad.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. So he was an electrical engineer, and then he went to the Korean War, like I said, and he was in a tank, and he was the radio operator, and came home, married my mom, and then they had kids, and he finished his degree, or went to the University of Minnesota and got an electrical engineering degree, and was part of ASQC and all this kind of stuff. And they were big into politics and a lot into like there's a thing called the Aquatennial here, and they were hosts of the Aquatennial and movers and shakers and all this stuff. So everything was clicking for them until that fateful day when my dad said he quit, and he said to become an entrepreneur. And I was so young, I'm like, I don't know what grade I'm in. I'm like, I didn't know what entrepreneur actually meant, but I kind of intuitively knew what it meant. And I'm like, that's a bunch of baloney. Because I'm like, if you were going to be an entrepreneur, wouldn't you be entrepreneuring right now? Like, it was very sad because one morning I got up and he was just still sitting there all disheveled and not going to work. And I'm like, what's going on? And I wish I could talk to him now. I mean, like, I wish I had been writing the book. I wish I had done all these things earlier so that I could crack him open and get into this if he could remember. And that's the thing, because they, like many times when I've seen aliens, I don't remember things, but I do know that they neuralize you. Like the government does that. So you don't remember being involved in certain programs and these kinds of things. And then maybe you have some nightmares and then the falls out of the cracks and you start to remember things. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of people, a lot of normies, normal muggles. They're starting to wake up and everything like that. And I think that's beautiful. And that's also why your show is very important, because the more we start to speak up and speak out, they can't control us because the true destiny of who we are is some of these psionic things, these talents or gifts or weirdness or whatever I was when I was a child. A lot of it has continued throughout my life. But I think this is who we are divinely created to be as humans. I think we all have this talent. I believe that. I know that, to do these things. And, but I think it's been kept from us, and it's a huge lie. We've been kept from the truth. Oh, amazingly. And also going back to, because like every alien I've met, and I want to get into the other ones that took my DNA, we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. It's telepathy. And so I encourage people, just for whatever, I don't want to, just for giggles. There's a word I use in front of that, and giggles. Try to start using your telepathic powers. We all have them. One of the best ways to do it is when you're driving down the road, because everybody else's mind is off, like they're offline. And that's the easiest way to read people's minds, is when they're kind of not really thinking, not trying, So when you're going down the road, just see if you can feel how people are, if they're going to move into your lane, all this kind of stuff. Just pretend that you can read people's minds. Just fake it, a little bit, and see if some weird things don't start to happen for you. That's just a gift that we all innately have. It's like an intuition thing. And I think it's important, because if there is disclosure, if there is things happening in our future, we need to bring back our gifts and our talents. And like I said, because then it's going to be a big prison break. They can't keep enslaving us, which is what this planet is, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sorry if that upsets some people, but we're kept from the truth. And the truth is they're controlling us and manipulating us and using us, and it's not cool. So
who are they?
Okay, well, let's go there. Other alien species, there are two that are basically in power on this planet, and they don't get along. And they've been here as long as we have, if not longer. Not quite sure. I mean, there's a lot of people that know more all about it. So I'm sorry if I'm speaking wrongly, like were humanoids here first, or, did they come after we were created, this, that, or the other thing. But there are two alien species that are here, that are in charge. And that's another thing. Okay, we can get into that for a minute, right? So the one species, and you mind if I just out them? Is that okay?
Just do it.
All right. The lizards, the lizzies. So the reptiles, yeah, it's real. They're real. And you can see people shape-shifting. I've got a picture of George Bush shape-shifting, and it was during his presidential talk for 9/11, the original one. And I didn't see it until they had like the 20th anniversary, and he was talking, all of a sudden I went, oh, holy moly. And I saw his eyes shapeshift. And so I took the picture off of my TV, which is great because then it's clean. And then when I put it on Facebook, I don't get, binged for that and all that kind of stuff because they can't track it from anywhere. But you guys go and look at it and you'll see his eyes slit. So they come, and I wanted to, this is important stuff, people. Gather around, kids. So they come as full-blown reptiles. The government knows them. They're down in the tunnels and all that kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. They're here. They're in charge of the planet because they're in charge of like Rome and England, the queen. But we're going to get in that in a second. So you got the full-on reptile. Then you have those that shapeshift to look humanoid, but they are a reptile, but holographically, we humans see them as a human, but they are not. And holographics is used hugely. And I do have a talent with holographics. Not that I knew about it, but it kind of came out. But this is how the whole rest of the universe works. And aliens also, they shapeshift, which is holographic usury. And that's what, the Native Americans talk about, shapeshifting and all this kind of stuff. Same thing, people, same thing. Anyway, so these guys pretend that they're humanoids, but they are not. Next, you got people who want to get into power, like Hollywood types, politicos, and religious whatevers. And they take on what I call the mantle. So what they have is like a walk-in. There'll be like kind of possessed in a way, in a fashion, with a reptilian. So they're a host to a reptilian, and they kind of shapeshift and go back and forth. That's what the Queen Elizabeth, she would shapeshift, and that's what the popes do, all that kind of stuff. Sorry, people, you can hate me, but this is what's going on. Now let's get into you, me, and everybody, because there's a lot of programming on the networks, broadcasting. And so we sit there and we're watching channel whatever, Netflix or blah, 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 and eating popcorn, and we're offline. You go offline, you're relaxing and you're watching TV and you're very open to hypnagogic suggestion. And I do believe that there is a program that is going on. Because like when I was growing up, we used to see and know the subliminal messages. Like there used to be like at the end of the day, and the TV channels were signing off. Imagine that, people. The TV channels signed off and they would have the American flag. And then if you slowed it down, because then all of a sudden we had VHSs or whatever, beta tapes and all that kind of stuff. And you could slow it down and you could see that they were putting subliminal messages. Well, people, that is still going on today. And I do believe that there's a program that's going on of a takeover that might happen, kind of like almost a zombie apocalypse, that these frequencies can come through and act as a walk-in to us humans. And one of the disturbing things that I was shown when I was writing the book, because I wrote the book for about 3 years, which I thought it was going to take me 9 months. But the first 9 months, I just stared at a blank page. I'm like, how do I start this? This is horrible. I can't do this. And anyway, and then I showed my neighbor, the one who found the chip in the back of my neck. I showed her a copy of my book after 3 years. She goes, well, it's very vanilla. And I'm like, oh. So then I said a little prayer and I said, okay, God, I'm going to open up the book and whatever you want, okay. And that's when the wheels fell off and the lizards all came into the book and stuff like that. But anyway, one of the things that I was shown, my point, what I'm getting to, is this priest, and he kept coming up on these shows, the same dude. And he was involved in he was talking about, what's the movie? The scary movie that I can't stand. Where the little girl, Reagan, was doing like the Ouija board. And,
Poltergeist.
Not Poltergeist. No, the one where the priest throws himself down the stairs and all that kind of stuff. But Exorcist. Exorcist. Thank you. Okay, I reminded myself. Anyway, so he's talking about exorcism and stuff like that. And then he said that he was doing an exorcism one time or a number of times. And he goes, many times people's eyes will turn green and slit. And that's when I went, bingo. They're doing walk-ins. The reptiles are doing walk-ins. And so we have to be very mindful of this, that some people are being open to suggestion, open to a walk-in. And I don't know if at a certain point there could be a tone. Remember that thing where the guys and they put on their glasses and stuff like that, and then the aliens were coming and there was some tone and like blah blah blah. Now this sounds wacky, and I really don't even want to kind of put it out there because I feel like if you put it out there, sometimes it'll manifest it. But I feel as if I know that this is what's happening. If a priest is talking about it, and that people are being taken over in this way, and their eyes are turning green and slit, then I'm trying to be informative. I don't want. And also, people, please try to keep your vibrations high, not fake, none of this fake stuff, but vibrationally try to stay high. I mean, try to stay, no, like, try to pull yourself out of depression. Go hug a tree.
True, but
all this kind of stuff.
Getting back to your dad for a quick second, do you believe that you said right off the hop of the show that you believe he may have worked on the Roswell craft?
Right, because with those paperwork that said Wrights-Patterson, that my dad was going to Wrights-Patterson and a bunch of other NASA places and military places, apparently Wrights-Patterson was classically tagged as where they were doing the reverse engineering on the Roswell craft. And going through my dad's papers of the different things, like, I thought you were working on the supercomputer, but then he's working on some gyro and he's working on rockets and he's working like on all these different things that, and he was a different kind of engineer. I can't remember what the name it was. Like, no, you're not an electrical engineer. You're some other kind of engineer. So it was like a lot of just weird, mysterious things that I had no clue about. And like I said, I did not know about Wright-Patterson, that's what people think, where they're doing the reverse engineering. I didn't know about that. The only way I learned about that was spirit, God, the voice, whatever you want to call it, said to me, take a picture of this page, post it on Facebook. So I try to listen and do the things, because when I do them, something fantastic or interesting happens. And so I posted it. And that's when I got messages from people saying, oh, so your dad was reverse engineering at Wright-Patterson's. That's where they brought the Roswell spacecraft, or at least one of them, or something. But that's where they were housing alien spacecraft. So, can I tell you for sure it was Roswell's? I don't know. But other people are saying that that's what was going on there, and that my dad was there and at all these other places and stuff like that, that they were doing these things with NASA. Who knew? Not me.
So was he just a contractor, or did he actually work for NASA?
No, contractor, because he would be under like Univac and Honeywell. So he would be their employee and then working with. So he wasn't a NASA employee. He would be an employee of one of these engineering firms. Yeah.
Right. Did he have any notes or anything? Because you said you found some notes stating his ties to anything to do with ETs, or is this just something that you were, finding out from talking to other people?
Yeah, no. I mean, if he had notes, well, first of all, anybody that's in a program, you're not writing notes, and you would never bring them home for somebody to find. That's not a thing. That's not how that works. And if he did have any, like I said, I wish we had his office, but we just pitched everything. Because who knew? I didn't know. I don't even know where that clamshell radio went. I just, because I moved out, got married, moved out, blah, 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 it's my parents. See you later. And so then God, I mean, it's just a storm, when they got older, and, my dad had a stroke and everything, and my mom had Alzheimer's, and it was just like this, I'm the sandwich child now, because I have my own kids, and, I'm trying to deal with that life and then take care of my parents and get them into assisted living. So we're just pitching things. And so that's why I was praying about this Hubert Humphrey pictures. I'm like, God, wouldn't that be amazing if I had a picture of my dad with Hubert Humphrey? Well, look what showed up. I mean, he died in 2010. We pitched their stuff. Like, when did we send him to the old folks home? I don't know, a few years earlier. I don't remember how long they were in assisted living, but I mean, that stuff's been gone for forever. And this file goes from 1960 to 2008. So just even 2 years until he died. It's just very, very strange. I don't even know. So I can't tell you more about him, but that's why I'm going to start to do some research. I'm going to dig into Korea. And I just found out from a neighbor that there's an old timey guy that lives behind me that worked at Honeywell or something like that. He's just a recluse. Like you never see him, and his house has got like plastic on the windows and stuff. I've lived in this neighborhood for 34 years. No, 35 years. And you never see this guy. And one of the other neighbors like, yeah, he retired like very early and stuff. I'm going to knock on that guy's door and say, hey, did you know my dad? Oh, hey, and going back to when I got that chip in my butt down by the lake, I'm writing my book. And I'm writing my book, and the voice says to me, Dana, whose house was that? I'm like, what? The yard you were in, whose house was that? I'm like, oh, snap. That was my dad's boss's house where those ETs were in that yard. My dad's boss's house. And I'm like, okay, well, there you go. Right? I mean, what a coinky dink. And I just hadn't even thought about that until I was writing the book. And then I was like, the voice said, you know who lived there, right? And I'm like, what? Because I'm kind of slow sometimes. Anyway, it was kind of hilarious. But yeah, that was my dad's boss's house. So he had to be involved. So I'm hoping this guy here who's still alive, I can talk to him and say, hey, do you know Gene? And do you know Don? And hey, look at this supercomputer thing. What do you think of this? And maybe he knows something, because he retired very, very early. At this man. And I wonder why he retired so early. Like, is there something more about that? I'm going to find out. So I'm on like a big adventure now. After my book came out, it's just like a whole new adventure.
What do you think you'll find?
More clues, more smoking guns. I don't know. That's the thing, because they're never going to tell you. They're never going to straight up give you the answers, because that, whatever. I mean, and we can get into this in a minute. Like maybe my space alien kids will come to my door. Maybe the MIB will come and tell me to shut up, because they, I did not know this going into this field, whatever, coming out with this book and stuff like that. I didn't know that you would be attacked. I didn't know that was even a thing, because I really stayed in the cosmic closet. I really hid. I was just watching normal things, but not digging into stuff. So I really didn't know. And I didn't know that you become targeted. And I just had to hit my house again last night. It's the second one. I'm like, you guys, you're never going to get me. Anyway, so they do come after you. They do try to shut you down and all that kind of stuff. So maybe somebody will come to my door. Maybe they'll threaten me, something like that. And I'm going to be like, okay, whatever. But I think I'm just too old and retired without a pension. I don't think they care about me anymore. And I feel like I'm just a voice among many. If I had to come out in the 80s or something like that, I would have been more like, woo, like people would have, whatever. But a lot of things hadn't even happened to me back then. I mean, a lot of events continued. They've happened, throughout. Well, they happen to me daily. Stuff happens to me all the time, every day. Every day is like, what the heck's going to happen today? I'm like, who knows?
I know that feeling.
Yeah, buckle up, Buttercup. And I think that's happening for a lot of people. A lot of people. It's not just me. Yeah, things are
30-second answer. What do your husband and kids think?
Well, like I told you, my husband thinks he's trying to deny it and say like it's whatever. But my children know, because they've seen a lot of it. They've been involved with some of it. They have gifts of themselves, and they're supportive. They love it. It's not something that you bring up in polite conversation or anything like that. I think they seek people out who are they wouldn't really mention it unless they vet somebody.
Hold that thought.
How they are. Yeah.
Hold that thought. We have another half hour with author Dana Louise tonight on Spaced Out Radio. This is gonna sound weird. It's her book. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Excuse me. All right. 1 second here. Oh. You know when you get a headache because your neck is stiff?
Yes. Ugh. Hey, drink that vinegar. I'm
Hell
telling you.
no.
Put it in the water.
No.
Yes, but it has to be apple cider vinegar, not white vinegar. And then put it in a glass of water and drink it. It'll cut your heartburn, because heartburn is the lack of acid in your stomach. So if you give it the acidity of apple cider vinegar, they have the pills, apple cider vinegar pills. You can go to Target tomorrow and get some and take those. They'll help you with your heartburn. And then you can thank me, because I'm your mom. I'm telling you, young man. Listen here.
I hate to tell you, you're only old enough to be my sister.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right.
Everybody, let's sing happy birthday to one of our great listeners in the studio. Happy birthday to you.
Boop, boop,
Happy birthday to you.
boop, boop.
Happy birthday in the studio. One more year till 50. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Happy birthday in the studio. Thank you for being a great listener. We appreciate it. I could totally have been a lounge singer, like a Vegas dingy bar lounge singer. Oh,
my God.
Human
That'd be
Carl is
hilarious.
here. We love our Human Carl.
As opposed to non-human Carl?
Well, Human Carl and Alien Carl, which is my alien, we don't want to get them confused. So we don't want people thinking Human Carl is accidentally Alien Carl and vice versa. We had 3 minutes and 11 seconds.
Oh, so is this our last half hour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We should talk about these guys who came and took my DNA.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do
We'll
it.
talk about them. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's upsetting. Yeah. Who knows?
Oh.
There's my Kleenex. Boop-a-de-boop.
Do-do-do.
So then you have another guest on afterwards?
That's extra small Lee Strauss. We just do a banter for an hour.
That's
Cat
nice.
Chaser's been asking the entire show if you could show your t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. It's Lofoten. It's a place in Norway. Boopity boop. And this is me in Norway on the front or on the cover. I was on a Norwegian reality show. Yeah. It's called Alt for Norg.
Very cool.
I'm weird.
Lazarus
Yeah, it says-
Project. Been a while. Good to see you.
Remember I was making fun of Norwegians earlier?
Yep.
Yep. I'm sticking to it.
I do remember.
Well, they do. They stare at you. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's kind of
All
funny.
right. We got about a minute. Big thank you tonight to Dutch Hank, Trucker Andrew, Creepypasta, Cat Chaser, Mel WD40, Walter, Kitty Cattywhack, Forrest Louie, and JSCO for the great super chats. Thank you for your time. Paul Demon, how you doing? Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And a big thank you to Frankie B for being our newest member in our YouTube membership. Do it. It's fun. You'll enjoy it. Become a member today. We got like 12 seconds. We're into the second half of tonight's show on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate you joining us for a little bit of tinfoil conversation. We want to remind everybody that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Author, experiencer, Dana Louise is here. This is going to sound weird, is her book. She's a weirdo, proud of it. I don't blame her. I like a good weirdoism too. I think I'm a little bit of a weird guy as well. And when you're dealing with these topics each and every night, you know that there is high strangeness all around you. Dana, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. You've been taken before. You've got some aliens. You've been implanted. What do you think they're going for?
Well, that leads into a good story. Lord only knows. I don't have answers. I have more questions. But I will tell you, the story I'm going to tell you is like where I met these other aliens and they gave me kind of a clue. So back in time, my kids are little. My husband and I, you can't always go out on a date night. So we would have a fire, watch TV, make some daiquiris, pull out the couch. We had a pull-out couch. And that would be our date night. Okay. So all of a sudden I wake up and my neck is hurting. My head is hurting. And I realize that my neck is over the edge of the bed. So I'm not where the heads are. I'm at the foot end and I open up my eyes and I'm frozen because a lot of times I'll start off with that paralysis thing and then I have to fight through it. And like, you get through it anyway. And I open up my eyes.
Let me just cut you off right there. Do you ever get the gravitational pull?
What do you mean the gravitational pull?
Well, when it feels like they're pulling you away and it feels like gravity has grabbed a hold of you and you can't move. Kind of like if you're on one of those amusement park rides.
Well, I've had something an encounter kind of like that, but it was with my bed and my bed sheets and everything. And my bed sheets were being pulled over me down into a vortex and that I almost got sucked into. But other than that, no. But I've had what they would term sleep paralysis, but I don't think it's sleep paralysis. I think it's them paralyzing me. And I usually am able to push through it. And then I get knocked out again. So anyway. So I'm upside down. I'm working through the sleep paralysis and there's only one door into this room and I'm looking and here is a troop, one after the other of these strange little creatures. And I almost feel like I should darken this sketch. Another show asked me to make a drawing. So you can see there's this thing and it looks kind of like it looks like a can or whatever. But actually it kind of looked like a log. And so like this one's walking away. This is the one that's talking to me. And you can see there's more of them. They're just coming in. And it's got sharp features. I can't do sharp features and a mottled thing around its face. Kind of like Jazadic Dax, if any of you are Star Trek people. This is its flippity flappity arms and flippity flappity feet. And it kind of waddles. So if you think about E.T., you're getting kind of close, but it looked like a log and it had kind of a squarish thing to its head. Anyway, sharp looking. And it was kind of like, they're coming in like this. And it's this one stepped aside and said, "Oh, are we scaring you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "Let's go back to the holograph thing again. Oh, how about this?" And they all shapeshifted into being softer features. And then I started speaking French, if you know what that means, like, like I'm not actually giving them the finger, but I'm like, F you, blah, 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 because me and aliens, whatever. Anyway, so I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And they're like, so this is the good part. "We're here to help your planet or save your planet." And I'm like, so my takeaway is we're here, meaning they're off world. They're not from inner space or on another dimension, because there's a lot of that going on, stuff like that. We're here to save your planet, which also means your, not them, blah, 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 your planet. We're here to save your planet. Which some people say, and even my younger son is like, "Oh, could the grays be us in the future? Like something happens to our sun, and so that's why we become gray and smaller with bigger eyes because something happened to our sun." I don't know. All I'm thinking is like, well, we'll get into what I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm like, F you, blah, 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 blah. And my head's hurting, so I'm trying to like, and I'm not seeing really where they're going because they're short. They're, like knee height. Yeah, about knee height. Ugh. Anyway, so then I'm able to get my head up on the bed. And this is the funny thing. So my husband doesn't think he's an abductee. And this is why I don't want him to really read the book, because he's been around for a lot of these encounters, but he's always knocked out and they could give a rat's patootie about him. So I'm just like, "What good are you? You're 6'4" and you do nothing. You sleep all day." Anyway, anyway. And then I see my husband, and then I can see my toes. And then I see this lamp over my feet, kind of, about my ankles or whatever, this big lamp. And it was iridescent, like the old timey dentist lamps that kind of look like a seashell in the back or a surgical lamp. But it was about this big, around in a circle. And it's bright and it's shining at me. And I'm like, "What?" And then all of a sudden from underneath the lamp comes this guy. And he's here. And you can see he's wearing a black little Speedo. And he is smiling at me. Here's the lamp. Here's my toes. And here's my sleeping husband. "Thanks so much, honey." Anyway, so this guy comes out and he's okay. What you need to know is that Close Encounters, and which kind of creeped me out, the final scene, because that's a big ship with the bay door, and out come these wobbly wobbly hybrid kids, and then out comes this tall stick creature. If you think about it, that's like Jack Skeleton and Mrs. Peregrine's Children for whatever, Home for Children, whatever. Hollywood depicts this tall, skinny guy often, but in different forms. Sometimes they're like bad, icky things. Anyway, so immediately when I saw this guy, I'm like, "Oh, snap." Because I remember about 3rd grade or something, right about this whole time that I'm doing the space program and all this kind of stuff. I used to draw like a stick man, which would have swirly arms, and because, we didn't have iPads back then, people. Anyway, and I would make this stick man with the balloon swirly arms and legs, and then I would rock back and forth and laugh. And I think it's a trauma response. And I would just draw this picture and then I'd laugh at it like, ha, like it was funny. Anyway, and then I saw this guy and I'm like, "Oh, dude, I know you." And I've never seen an alien wearing clothing before. And it was this very small black Speedo. I'm telling you, his hips were about this big, very tiny, very pale skin, almost looked like plastic, like a Barbie or something like that, kind of palish. I can't remember if it was like pinky or grayish or whatever. Anyway, more pink than gray. And he's smiling at me and coming at me like he's starting to crawl over me. Okay. Like, ugh. And then end scene, I black out, right? Okay, wake up the next morning. And I'll, like, God, I've had so many mornings like that. Like, did that happen? Like, oh my God. Anyway, so I wake up the next morning and I'm naked. And no bueno, because we're modest people. And I have 2 sons. And so when I go to bed basically what I'm wearing right now. I will wear this to bed. I wear a t-shirt and shorts. And on this particular evening, I was wearing a bra and underwear and socks. But I'm naked.
It happens.
Well, but when my husband and I, if we have intimacy, we put our clothes back on. We don't run around naked or anything like that because, there could be an emergency or your kids come downstairs. I am not going to be naked. Okay. I don't want that. So, I look over on the edge of the bed and I'm like, oh no, please don't tell me. Because I knew this much. And there, sure enough, was a puddle of my clothes. So it was like socks, not socks like this. And let me tell you, I would fold my clothes up or something like that. Or if we were having like a hot night, wouldn't it be like this or something like that? So anyway, here's my socks. On top of it is my shorts. And it was summertime. So it was shorts with the underwear still inside. And then the bra still inside the t-shirt, but just like my body had evaporated or vanished. And my clothes just dropped there. And I'm sure that's probably what happened. And so that then in the morning, I was like, okay, snap, that actually happened. And there's my clothing and I'm naked and I didn't go to bed naked. So that was kind of a sign for me. And then what I'm thinking is, the whole time I'm thinking, well, they took my eggs. I'm sure they took my eggs because they got this big light up my hoo-ha, right? And this guy's crawling over me. Or what's he doing? He's crawling over me. I don't know. Are we having space sex or something like that? Were they making a space porn or something? I don't know. But then I'm writing a book. Yeah, I know. But then I'm writing my book and talking about this chapter to a friend of mine. And she's like, oh, well, they got more than that. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you were intimate with your husband, right? And like, oh, okay. I see where you're going with that. So legitimately they would have, because they're not dealing with my husband. They're not touching him at all. But they would have the DNA, his DNA and my DNA. And I don't know about the alien guy, like if he was getting hot and heavy with me. I have no recollection of that. See, again, why I don't want to get hypnotized. I don't want to know about creepy alien encounters or something. No, thank you. No bueno. So, but they have my DNA and they're here to save our planet. Okay. What does that mean, people? I don't know. So legitimately, my kids are like, I'm like, hey, if you see somebody that looks like they could be your brother or sister, they probably are. And I can't even entertain this thought. And a lot of times I've done some interviews and I start to cry and I'm trying to get over that because this is all new for me doing, I can sit and do karaoke, but now I'm talking about this stuff is intimate to me and this is personal. And these are things that I've tried to hide for years. And, so
well, let me just say this. Let me just say this. For many of us experiencers,
mm-hmm.
we all try to hide it. We all try to keep it quiet or do that. It's very hard to go through a scenario that shouldn't be happening outside of imagination. And it is truly happening. I mean, I can see where that's traumatic and a lot of our listeners can too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like abuse. It's abuse. I mean, first of all, I'm not allowing it. I wouldn't, it's happening. You're being abducted and it's, there's a part of shame. And I hate to say this. And this is what kind of like, it's, you feel kind of shameful of this happening or any of the things that have happened to me. And you don't want to say it to normal people. But also for me, it's like, what are they doing with my DNA? Are they making a full human? And what are they doing to that person? Are they are they cloning it? Are they hybriding it? I can't even entertain. I have to have a disconnect with this. I cannot entertain because I love my sons. I love children so much. Oh, see, now it's going to happen. I can't entertain the thought of what is happening with my DNA. I can't hardly go there because I just cry, so it's hard, so sorry. But it is. Yeah, it is. It's a real deal thing. And it is. And like, even, with the grays in the beginning and stuff like that, because it's happening at night and it's not a permissive thing. Like No one's giving permission for this. And so there's a bunch of shame. It's kind of like there's sexual abuse. This is a kind it's kind of to me on the same level. It's not cool. And so when I see other people trying to pretend that they've been abducted or something like that, I'm like, you go ahead, because I know you're lying, because if you were really abducted, you'd be acting differently. You would think differently. And I don't mean for somebody to go, oh, okay, now I'm going to use that and I'll up my act. I can just tell who's being honest about their stories and stuff like that, because it's not fun. And people are like, oh, I would like to meet a gray alien or aliens. Number one, people, for me, in my experiences, whenever I've been around an alien, the room has changed vibrationally. It's like it's shaking. It's like, and I'm not quite sure if they're coming from a different dimension, and or their frequency and or the atmosphere that they need is at a different frequency, because we're 3D dense. This is a very dense environment that we live in. But like a fish needs a different environment. Every alien I've encountered has had this frequency thing. And I see like Hindu texts talking about the gods or something like that. And I think what they describe being around these gods is that kind of frequency shaking. It's like a different thing. So it's very hard for us humanoids to be in this environment, which means you're okay. AI might take your job, but a gray alien isn't, because a gray alien needs a different environment in order to get a job at Subway. I'm just telling you, it's not happening, people. Now, the reptiles, they're fine with it, but they do use frequency and ship-shaping, holographs and shape-shifting, all this. They got all kinds of tools in their toolbox. So anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I do get upset when I talk about the kids and stuff like that, of course. It's hard.
I'm wondering, like, regarding your understanding of this, I can tell that you are having a lot of recall on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
How are you controlling the recall? How is it happening when it's recalling all of these scenarios?
Well, I think it's cathartic because I'm able to talk about it. It's kind of like therapy, doing a podcast, because who's going to listen to you? It's very hard to find somebody that's going to listen to you and understand or take you at face value, these kinds of things. And I've legitimately never spoken these stories, so it's hard for me. And sometimes I don't flesh out the whole story. But the beautiful thing is, going through the process of writing the book, I had to literally go into each scene and each scenario, because I'm not a writer. I call myself an author. Hats off to actual writers. That is a craft. That is a gift. I have authority over a subject. So that's what I wrote about. And I legitimately tried to put myself back in that event. And how would it be for me to describe it to other people? So I put myself in it, which was really good to start this whole process for me. Because if I had just never wrote the book and just started doing podcasts and talking about it, I would be crying a lot more. And legitimately, if you go back to some in 23 when I started speaking, it was more or less 24. So it hasn't been very long of me speaking. I would get very teary-eyed and I would forget to flesh out the whole story a little bit. But, it's a process. So writing the book was very, very helpful. I think it's very cathartic for me. And hopefully I'll feel stronger and stronger, because it's good for me to do this here. But when I speak in person, like I said, I could go up and sing karaoke and make a fool out of myself. But this is personal, deeply personal to me. And so when I get up and talk in front of an audience, my knees are knocking, my knees are shaking. And I kind of, space out a little bit, because I'm like, it's just so much. And to see people, real people, face to face, and to talk to them about it, very difficult. It's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
We got 4.5 minutes to go here. Tell us about your book. Tell us about what it is.
Well, it goes through, I tried to go through the timeline of my life, but like I said, I kind of Tarantino'd it. But I tried to go through uh, my childhood, upbringing, and all the events that happened, um, the things I learned along the way. And also, I was not, remember, I said that I gave that one last year. I opened it up to Spirit and I said, what do you want in the book? And I wasn't going to do any energy classes or any energy work in the book. Wasn't going to do it. And then Spirit's like, if this is your one chance to talk to people, and that people have are divine beings, and that they all have special gifts, why wouldn't you help them learn that? So then I'm like, dang it. So in the back of the book, I do have some energy exercises. Like one of the first ones is really kind of mind blowing. It's like working with the weather and that kind of thing. And people snicker at it, but I've had even other podcasters come back and say, holy moly, I was able to do what you said in your book. And I wanted something to shake people up, to be like, your power of prayer actually works. Your thoughts and intentions, your manifestations, this is you working in this frequency. So legitimately, the back of the book is giving exercises and stuff so that people can take control of their lives and start working with the frequencies and working with this planet, which is exactly what other creatures, what the whole universe knows about. They all know, all the aliens and ETs and stuff like that. They all know that. We've been kept sequestered and silent and dumbed down. And so the exercises in the back of the book. And then I got a mean lasagna that I put in there, and a unbelievable chocolate cake that you have got to try, because you will just be like, holy smokes, this stuff is good. Like, this cake weighs like 10 pounds. It's called a crazy cake. Crazy cake. So anyway, the book goes through my life, and there's like even like a TV show where I saw a UFO and then it was reported on the TV and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's crazy stuff in there that I don't even believe, but it happened to me, and there's witnesses, so I have to believe it. It did actually happen. And I'm just trying to help other people with their stories, because maybe something that I wrote about chimes with them or happened to them. And then, let's keep going with that. Like, let's all connect and tell each other our stories. And that's how we rise up and we get out of this slave ship. Sorry, I keep going back to that, but it's true. Yeah. Yep.
How do you tell that this is your reality and not just the mind overthinking itself?
Right.
I've struggled with that.
Well, no, because I've been very pragmatic since childhood. I've been very well aware. And I think because of the shock with the aliens, I think that that wakes up your synapses, because it's almost like facing death. So I was very much online as a child. So I was able to compartmentalize it because I grew up with it. So it became normal for me, not a good normal, I suppose, but I was able to say, like, okay, and then just put that over here. This is what happens, and that's over there. And I don't talk about that. It's like abuse again. You know what I mean? I just do that. But, I was able, and I guess I looked at it as being interesting. A lot of people, I've seen other people, they get traumatized and they have a hard time with it. But this started very early. And when I woke up in the morning, nothing had happened to me. So I guess that's a good thing. I know some people have had tragic things happen to them, or very shocking things. And that's the thing. I don't remember any of that. Might have happened to me, but it's a blessing I don't remember any of it, So I think I compartmentalize that. And I've just walked through, but I've had so many amazing experiences. Some of them are very beautiful. But, again, I go back to, I've had witnesses. So I know that it's not me making something up, or I'm not psychotic or something like that, because I would like to take drugs and give me a lobotomy and let's be done with it. I mean, that would have been an easy solution.
Well, we got to be done with this show, Dana. Louise, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to do this again, I promise you. Promise you. Coming up next, we got Swamp Dweller, then extra small Lee Strauss entertains us for hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Good job tonight, Dana. Thank you.
Well, thank
That
you
was
for
fun.
having me so much. I appreciate it.
That was
I
fun.
do. It's wonderful. I hope your
Loads of
audience
fun.
liked it.
They did. They did. Stay
I
in
hope
touch,
they liked
okay?
it. That's good. That's what I care about. You too. I'll see you on Facebook.
Yeah, you will.
I'll let you go. Yeah.
Have a
All
great
right.
night, my
Being
friend.
as we're Facebook buddies. Thank you.
Yes.
You too.
Take care.
Take care, dear. Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dana, Louise, everybody. Thurston Howell the Third, how are you? I'll be right back.
I'm going to tell you guys this. I got nothing compared to what just happened. Nothing.
All right. There he is. Extra small Lee Strauss. 1 week away from being up here at SOR HQ.
That's right, bud. Excited.
By the way, Sweet Robbie G will be hosting for me that night.
Ah.
Because Merle is coming up. You're going to be up. And we got a game plan that night.
Good. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if I can beat your guest, boy. I'll tell you what.
That was peak
good.
woo, man. Serious peak woo.
Yeah. Impressive.
It was highly impressive woo.
Yep.
Oh, that felt good. It's been a while since we've had some serious woo like that. Thank you, Dirty Filth, for that amazing woo. Frankie B, our newest member on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Dutch Hank, Cat Chaser, Mel WD40, Kitty Cattywhack, JSCO, Trucker Andrew, Creepy Pasta, Walter, Louie, and Candace. Thank you for your super chats and your love of SOR. We greatly appreciate it. And we're getting going in 5 seconds. Lee, Swamp Dwellers, just over 6 minutes. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. You're listening to a great show filled with tinfoil conspiracy. Extra small Lee Strauss and Swamp Dweller coming up next. But first, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Tectiform. Tectiform is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I was around the age of 18 when this happened. This takes place in my hometown in rural Oregon. The town's name is Elkton. Not like that matters. You probably never heard of it. The town has a population of less than 1,000 people and consists of a restaurant, a bar, a store, a park, and a post office. All surrounded by scattered farmland. Nothing bad ever really happens there, and everyone knows each other. At this point of my life, I was lazy. I had no job, no car, still lived with my mom, and smoked a lot of weed. A certified loser. My routine was sleep in until I felt like waking up, get stoned, and play video games. Once I got bored with that, I'd walk over to my buddy's house and hang out for the rest of the night. I'd usually hang out there until around 1 a.m. For reference, I lived about 2 miles out of town, and my buddy lived in town. The walk wasn't bad though, and was probably the only exercise I was getting. I'd just pop in my headphones and zone out. This happened during one of those nights when I was walking back home. I was walking through town on the main road. I had my headphones in and was just vibing while I made the 2-mile trek. As I approached the park, I noticed a car sitting in the parking lot. It was a bit weird at first, because usually I would never see people on these walks home. The whole town was asleep during those hours. I shrugged it off as maybe someone passing through and taking a nap or something. Just off the road by the park is a trail that leads down to the river. At the start of the trail, there's a bench. As I approach the part of the road that passes by the trail, some random guy abruptly appears from the trailhead. I would say this guy looked to be in his early 40s, judging by how he dressed and his facial features. One thing was strange, though. He had aviators on, at 1 a.m. He power walked in front of me and sat on the bench. The whole situation was striking me as weird. It looked like he was just staring at me the entire time, but it was really hard to tell for sure because of the dark glasses. I was a little freaked out at first and stupidly shrugged it off. I just started walking diagonally, so there would be some distance between us once I passed him. So I pass him. I look at him, and he was still looking at me, so I took my earbuds out and kindly say, "How's it going?" I think that was a bad move. He didn't reply, of course. I just picked up the pace and focused on getting home. This guy gave me major chills, so I left one earbud out so I could hear and be aware of my surroundings. I just got about a quarter-mile away down the road and decided to look back to see if he was still sitting there. He wasn't. He was now walking behind me, following me pretty heavily, and he was closing the distance. I swear my heart skipped a beat when I saw this. Could he really be following me? Maybe he lives up here too. But that had to be his car at the park, so why is he on foot? All these questions were flying through my head. I looked back and he was even closer and walking at a faster pace. Fight or flight kicked in, and I went from a casual stroll to a dead sprint instantly. I looked back once more, and he matched my pace and was now sprinting as well. For some reason, I decided to veer off the road and cut through the forest. I sprinted over broken branches and through brush for a bit until I eventually dove into a big bush. I instantly went silent. I could hear him stomping through the forest behind me. Then suddenly, he went quiet as well. I think he was trying to pinpoint where I was. This lasted a few minutes before I heard him start to go the other way back to the park. I felt so relieved that he gave up. I still waited there for a few more minutes until his footsteps faded away, and I was sure he was out of the forest. Then I cut back through the road as quietly as I could. Once I hit the pavement, I checked both ways to make sure he wasn't there. There was no sign of him anywhere, but honestly, I could only see for probably 40 feet in either direction, because I was no longer in the main part of town and there were no street lamps. I was still relieved because I thought for sure I had lost him, so I just focused on getting home. I was only about a mile away or so at this point. Eventually, I put my headphones back in and started to relax as much as I could, not even fully cluing in on what just happened. A few minutes passed and I started to notice a light coming up behind me. Headlights from a vehicle. My stomach sank as I was praying that it wasn't him. He must have gone back to get his car, I thought. As it approached me, it slowed down. I cringed as it pulled up next to me and came to a stop. I looked expecting to see that guy wielding a weapon and demanding that I get in the car. Thankfully, it wasn't him. It was a local guy around my age, Brent, on his way home from a get-together. What's up, dude?" I spoke. "Hey, man, do you need a ride home?" he asked. Stupidly, I replied, "Nah, dude, it's all good. I'm almost home. Thanks, though." I could see a worried expression on his face as he cut me off. "Are you sure? You know there's someone following you, right?" I immediately looked down the road behind me, and there he was. The same guy. He was closer than ever before, and I somehow never noticed him. I could see something in his hands reflecting from Brent's taillights. I never lost him. He was following me the entire time. I was completely oblivious. I looked back at Brent and didn't say anything and scrambled in the truck. I didn't say anything during the ride. All I was thinking about how stupid I was. We pulled into my driveway, and I was never happier to see my house. As I was getting out of the truck, Brent jokingly said, "I probably just saved you from being murdered." He couldn't have been closer to the truth, honestly. The older I get, the scarier this experience becomes. What were his intentions? What was he going to do? Kill me? Abduct me? Why was he in Elkton, Oregon, of all places? I'm glad I never found out. I stopped staying at my buddy's house so late after this experience, and always kept one earbud out so I could be aware of my surroundings. No matter how much you think you know an area, or how safe you think it is, you should always be prepared for anything. There are truly evil and insane people in this world. Stay safe out there, everyone.
All right. We say thank you to Swamp Dweller for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, it is very easy to find them. Head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you literally got thousands of stories there to choose from. Time for Lee. All right, extra small Lee Strauss from our show on our YouTube channel, Element 115. He joins me this time each week for a great time of banter and conversation. Lee, thank you for joining us. Welcome back.
Hey, buddy. I'm glad to be here. Absolutely.
You should be.
Yeah.
You should be. And
Well,
I have to say, I'm very excited. Next week, you're coming up here to SOR headquarters. We're going to hang out. We're going to head out into the forest. We're going to go see some things that should not exist. You're going to be setting up your $1 million worth of camera equipment that you have. You know, you pretty much got, you know, the James Webb telescope sitting on your shoulder, the miniaturized version. It's going to be great, my friend. I'm so looking forward to it.
it's going to be a blast. It really is. I'm just concerned about getting across the border with all that equipment. To tell you the truth, that ought to be a trip. Let me tell you.
I'm going to be honest with you. With the Canadian Guards, just be honest with them. When they say, "What are you doing?" I'm going to look for UFOs up at old 100 Mile House, British Columbia.
Yep.
My buddy lives up there. I'll have to get you my name and address because they may ask, well, where are you heading and where are you staying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll get you all that. And the best part, the icing on the cake outside of extra small Lee Strauss coming up here is that Merle is going to join us as well.
That's going to be a blast. It's been 2 years since I've seen Merle, so you know, in person. So
I'm telling you, it is the Fantastic Four. Little Timmy James, extra small Lee Strauss, Merle, and myself hanging on out, doing our thing in the forest. So I'm pretty pumped up about that. I very much am.
Yep.
I'm so excited to show you this place, man. Like once you get there, you will know. And then you'll be really, really interested in what's going on.
Well, my feelers are already out. So, you know, knowing that you're going to go into a location like this, of course, you know, you're gearing your mind towards that experience. Sometimes you can get hints of things prior to going into a location like this. And so I'm definitely looking for that.
Earlier this time, a few days ago, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, decides to hop on the UFO conversation a week after Vice President J.D. Vance did. What do you think? I mean, you and I talked last week about the J.D. Vance story about UFOs and how he was going to be taking the August recess to really dive into this subject, that he was a little bit of a nut bar when it came to this subject, you know, in a complimentary way. I say that, you know, I mean, and now Tulsi Gabbard jumps on board, wants to give up the goods, but says, I can't because of my NDAs, because of my position of authority. I have to watch what I say. What was your thoughts on all that, Lee?
Okay. She had mentioned that she knows about this stuff, but right now is not the right time. So when she says it's not the right time, that made me think. Just a couple of words. But those couple of words said a lot. It sounds like they have plans in place. Now, are they fallback plans if something goes awry? Or are they something that they're just going to come out with anyway? You know, so your guess is as good as mine, whether or not they have something in their hip pocket if things go wrong, or it's something they're going to come out with anyway without, you know, say another issue arising that they have to get eyes off of, you know, one thing to distract with another thing. So they may be just keeping that in their back pocket right now.
It makes me wonder why this conversation is happening. Are they really, really trying to take down the military industrial complex? Are they really trying to say it is UFOs? I mean, to me, there's a lot going on here that just doesn't make sense. And in fact, if I go back in time, you know, since the To the Stars Academy came out in 2017 and then the New York Times article, I haven't really been able to figure out why they are doing this. Why now on the conversation? And it's always been very confusing to me, Lee, because realistically, there was no point. Was it about making money? Is there something happening that they need to start the conversation now?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of those things, they just turned the James Webb telescope towards that 3-eye object. Okay. And they got some clearer pictures of it. And we know that thing is coming closer and closer all the time. So we're going to get more eyes on it, and more data from that, from the scientists looking it over and trying to figure out what's going on, and maybe even using AI to dissect it a little bit. But if it is real, the government's going to have to come out and say something. If it is a craft, the government's going to have to say something, because eventually regular astronomers are going to get a look at it too.
Do you think 3-eye Atlas is a alien object?
I'm not sure. It's very possible, and the reason why I say it is because it's coming into our inner solar system. It's going to pass by basically 2 planets in the habitable zone. If you're an alien species off in another solar system and you send a probe in, what are you going to do? There's 3 planets that they can probably see that are within the habitable zone. Let's go ahead and look at 2 of them, right? Because we're not going to be able to get all 3, but maybe we can figure out something if we just look at 2. So let's go ahead and send our probe in. And on the way back, or on the way out, Earth's coming around the other way. So it just seems to me like it's super calculated, that it's coming into the inner solar system to look at 2 of the 3 planets in the habitable zone.
You're buying into this.
A little bit. It just makes sense to me. If you look at it from outside, that's what we would do.
Would we, though?
Yeah. Yes, then we would. Okay, so check this out. What if we were 200 years more advanced than we are? And now we've got probes that can go into other solar systems and take a look what's there. We would probably do that, yes, but we might be able, before that object gets to that solar system, we might be able to beat it there, just because of how our tech is advancing, right? So maybe they sent something into our solar system thousands of years ago, but they've already beat it here. I mean, that's possible too. The other thing is, Dave, is like, we know that there's many different species out there. So maybe this was there is just one species that sent this probe in.
I'm still not convinced of A3 Atlas. I mean, there was the great debate of Oumuamua.
Yeah.
Whether or not in 2018 Oumuamua was an alien craft or it was something different. This is what really made the name of Harvard professor and astrophysicist Avi Loeb. Okay, where he claimed, look, we cannot rule it out. He never admitted that, saying in fact it was a spacecraft from another universe, but he did say that there was differing flying patterns that this thing was showing that said we could not rule it out. And, the one thing I love about Avi Loeb, about going back to Oumuamua, is there were a lot of astrophysicists out there, including the most popular in Neil deGrasse Tyson, who were basically calling him a fool.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very narrow-minded. And I admired Avi Loeb because he stuck to his guns. You know, what he was conducting, in my opinion, and trust me, I am no scientist, okay? But in today's day and age, we see a lot of scientists conducting opinion rather than science. In this case, I believe Avi Loeb conducted something scientific. Now, he's obviously with A3 Atlas seeing, or A1, A3? A3 Atlas? A3. He's obviously seeing something that isn't in conjunction with a pattern of a meteor or an asteroid or something along those lines. It is not flying that way. But, I mean, on the flip side, even though we can't rule that it is a spacecraft coming in, we cannot all of a sudden just say, no, that's nothing. That's not what's happening. Do I believe that it is? No, because I think it's a little too coincidental with what's going on in the disclosure movement.
Yeah.
But I'm okay if I'm wrong.
Yeah, of course. We all have to be in that position where we're going to be okay. I mean, I give it probably about a 70% chance that it's something else other than a rock. And that's pretty high.
It's something we're going to know, and we're going to know soon. I mean, the speed that this is traveling at, it'll be here in November.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if we'll actually get to see it with our own eyes or even a good pair of binoculars, but knowing that it is here, right? Knowing that it is here, I think it really needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And, you know, tying this into what we said earlier, I mean, with J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard talking about this is where my red flag hackles go up. All of a sudden, they're talking about this. We're 3.5, 4 months away from this happening, and they're all of a sudden talking UFOs.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it's too coincidental. You know, even before Trump was elected president, he said he was going to look into UFOs, you know, and not only that, but he said that he would release, you know, some information about them. So, or look into it and then release stuff. So we'll see. You know, we've had other presidents hint at that before and nothing has happened. Right. So, I think that they find when they get into office that there's certain things that they can't talk about, and UFOs is one of them. However, with like we just said, with the 3-eye Atlas and the fact that they like to sweep things under the rug a little bit, we could hear something.
What do you want to hear?
You know, I want somebody to come out, Trump or whoever seriously high up in the government, and say, you know what, they've been here for a long time. And we kept it secret because we just thought it was the best thing to do to keep everybody calm. And, you know, and it can disrupt so many things. I think that's the issue. So, you know, religions and all of that. So authority can disrupt more than I know.
Well, I appreciate the conversation. We're going to have a little bit of fun when we come back. And I'll tell you why. I was on WPHT Sterling Every Damn Night earlier tonight. And right before we went on, we got asked a conversation piece about spectrophilia. We're going to see if Lee knows what spectrophilia is when we get back. And no looking it up, Lee. Last half hour is next. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Peace. You looked it up, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I was going to. There's so many ways you can take apart that word and come up with different things. So,
Archon Jackpot, how you doing?
Yeah. All right. I really want to know now. That's okay. There's lots of Philias out there, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
All good, man.
I have a friend that is, I don't even know if we can talk about this on air, but she's going to the Bohemian Grove.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and she's been there several times. And we were actually talking about it on chat, and then everything on my chat disappeared.
I've had that happen with spooks.
Yeah. So
fun times.
Oh boy. Yeah. I'm actually reading a text right now. She says that when you get on that property that you can feel it, that it's definitely not necessarily the best feeling. It's definitely different.
And she's going, why?
Well, there's an event that she's a part of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to get into that, but yeah.
It's her story.
Exactly. But it's very interesting. Have you ever had anybody on talk about it?
Not really. I've kind of questioned whether or not that's a road we should take down. Because here's the thing. When you get people who talk about subjects like that, they get into a lot of the trigger words that don't sound good on radio or don't sound good on social media.
Yeah.
And we're already fighting all the time about, trying to make more subscribers, more everything. And I believe that our shows like ours and many others in our ilk are actually struggling right now due to a push in a different direction from the algorithms on this subject, supporting some who are bigger channels and, kind of allowing the rest of us to, fall by the wayside. That's my little conspiracy theory there. But when you get into topics like that, I would have no problem having a conversation about Bohemian Grove and Illuminati. But if you don't get the right person and their mouth starts chattering about, things that they have zero proof on, but they've read on a fringe website.
Yep.
About, trafficking, about kids, about, all sorts of things like that, that could get a show like ours in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
And if I knew the person was going to give a proper interview on that subject and keep all the conspiracies out of it, I would love to do that show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Really would.
I agree. That would be.
All right. Big thank you tonight to Candace, of course, Louie, Walter, Creepypasta, Trucker Andrew, JSCO, Kitty Cattywhack, Mel WD40, Cat Chaser, And Dutch Hank for the great super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Thank you to Frankie B for joining our membership on YouTube and shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store, all of you. We do not have ugly swag. Here we go. 7 seconds, really. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio as we've rounded third and we're heading for home tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. From Element 115 on our YouTube channel, we have the man, the myth, the extra small legend, Lee Strauss, hanging out with us tonight. And before we get to our next topic, I want to say thank you to Nicole Sackage for bringing up this point for what we were talking about in the last half hour regarding J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard talking UFOs all of a sudden as A3 Atlas is screeching through our space sky. Can't say skies because it really is, it's just one sky. Yeah. So here's an interesting fact that Nicole stated. One of J.D. Vance's biggest campaign donors is Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is the one who funded Enigma Labs for between $5 and $8 million. How do you even put Enigma Labs? A reporting site where they want people like you and me to call in, but then they're going to go share their information with the government. Even though they don't have government contracts, they're going to go share the information with the government, allegedly. So, you also have Peter Thiel tied to Jesse Michaels and many others in the UFO world. So is that maybe why J.D. Vance is all of a sudden getting on the UFO bandwagon? What's your thoughts?
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? But, you know, it wasn't just J.D. Vance either. So, I mean, is it going to be more of the administration's going to come out? I mean, I'm just waiting for that next shoe. Somebody else to speak out and say, yeah, you know, we're interested in this. It seems like every 3 days there's some major news dropping about it. And we're going somewhere. I really feel like we are.
Is an interesting topic indeed. One to keep the eye on. That is for sure. All right. Let us go to our next topic of discussion. So I do a nightly hit in Philadelphia on WPHT. And tonight the host that was filling in for Walter M. Sterling, Trey is his name. He goes, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. I don't care. It's whatever. It's your show. Let's talk whatever you want. I can go in many different directions. So he goes, I want to know about ghost sex. And I went, okay. And he starts laughing. I'm like, we could do that. He goes, you're serious? I said, yes, we could do that. I'm quite okay with that. And so this is a thing that many people don't know about, Lee, including yourself, and it's called spectrophilia. So what is spectrophilia? Well, here is the definition. It is also known as phasmophilia. It is a paraphilia characterized by sexual attraction to either ghosts or images in mirrors. It could also refer to the alleged phenomena of sexual encounters between ghosts and humans. So spectrophilia involves a sexual or romantic attraction to ghosts or other supernatural entities. Maybe you might get your wish there with Bigfoot, Lee. I don't know. All right.
Well,
Some individuals who identify with this paraphilia report having sexual encounters with ghosts, either through physical sense or through astral projection. This aspect of spectrophilia involves sexual arousal from images seen in mirrors, which can be interpreted as projections of the self or other entities. So the term also refers to the belief that some individuals have sexual encounters with ghosts. These encounters can range from feeling a presence to experiencing physical contact and even sexual intercourse. Doing the naughty.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's
Hey,
that
do you think Dr. Ruth from the other side would be a part of this little phenomena going on? There's one more part here, then I'll get you to comment. Some theories suggest that spectrophilia might be related to psychological conditions like hallucinations or dissociative states, while others see it as a genuine paranormal experience. Your thoughts, extra small, Lee Strauss.
This opens up a whole new world of possibilities, Dave. There's been some movies that were made about this sort of thing where, like Ghost, right? And that was, but there was another one that was called The Entity. And this lady was, had a situation happen with a ghost and she couldn't get away from it. And it was supposedly a true story. So maybe this is a thing. Maybe this is a possibility. I remember Ghost Adventures had a show where they were looking for some sort of attention like that. I'm trying to be gentle here, everybody, just so you know. They were looking for something like that, and everybody's heard of like succubuses and that sort of thing. So yeah, this stuff could be true. It sounds like it's been happening or has happened, for a long, maybe 1,000 years or even who knows how long, but it's been happening for a long time. I just don't know of any personal, anybody in my group of friends or anybody like that who's had anything odd like that happen. Dave, the most incredible thing that I ever had was somebody grabbed me on the back of the shoulder like this. But as far as anything, man, I don't know.
Well, believe it or not, in a New York Post article from 2023, they did an article of 7 famous people who claim to have had sexual encounters with ghosts. Musician Kesha.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is what she said in a quote on Conan in 2012. I don't know his name, but he was in my house. He was in my house and he just started like caressing me. It was a sexy time, but it wasn't like sex, she clarified. Another, Anna Nicole Smith. She said a ghost would crawl. Before I give that, she said she credited a ghost for the kinkiest intercourse that she had ever had. She said the ghost would crawl up her leg and have sex with her at an apartment a long time ago in Texas. She says, I used to think it was my boyfriend, and one day I woke up and it wasn't. It was like a spirit, and woo, it was good. She said, I was freaked out about it, but then I was like, well, you know what? He's never hurt me, and he just gave me some amazing pleasure, so I have no problem. And then she goes, I told my boyfriend, and he didn't believe me. Of course, men. Another musician. Oh, comment. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, so far it's been 2 women that have had this happen. So I'm wondering if it's obviously they're male spirits. I'm
Let's get to another.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get to another. Mr. Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, known as Bobbins to his friends. I just made that up. He says, I sensed a lot of evil crap had gone down in that house a while Thevis lived there. The My Prerogative singer said, to this day, I believe that house was haunted. We would often see a white woman walking down the hallway. One memorable night, one of the ghosts descended from the ceiling and had sex with me. After you stop laughing, I need you to hear what I'm saying because I'm not making this up. And let me add this. This was before I ever touched any drug besides weed or alcohol. He said, in my bedroom, I had a big round bed with a mirrored ceiling looming above. I always slept in the nude, so one night I woke up to the sensation of a woman on top of me. I looked up, and in the mirror, I could actually see a white woman on top on the bed. The sensation felt exactly like sex. And then it gets a little graphic. All of a sudden, she was gone, leaving me alone and incredibly excited and terrified at the same time. Wow. So there's Bobby Brown.
Okay, so it's a thing.
Well, let's figure out who else has, because I haven't gone through this list yet fully. Former Charlie's Angel, Lucy Liu. She said, some sort of spirit came down from God knows where and made love to me. It was sheer bliss. I felt everything, and then he floated away. Yes, and now she believes her former ghost sexual partner is like a guardian angel to her. Natasha Blasick, yes, from Paranormal Activity 2, said she had 2 sexual encounters with ghosts, but her skeptic husband wasn't buying it, laughing at the fact that she was cheating on him with Casper. She goes, I was in a room at home by myself. I was laying in bed, and then I felt something enter the room, and I couldn't see anybody. I could feel somebody was touching me, and the hands were pushing against me, against my will, and I could feel the weight of a body on top of me. I couldn't see anybody, but I could feel the pressure, the energy, the warmth pushing in different directions. The first time I was very confused by all of that, but then I just decided to relax, and it was really, really pleasurable. I enjoyed it. This is what happened. Yeah. Reality TV star Coco Austin says it happened. And a good Canadian kid, you might know him from Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd in 2013 told Esquire magazine that he used to cuddle with a male ghost. I've had several experiences with ghosts. I saw things moving around on our counter and doors opening and closing. The staff also had experiences, direct contact in terms of tactile touching, and then turning around and there's nobody there. Somebody crawled into bed with me once, and I thought, I'm just going to roll over and snuggle up next to it. The interviewer asked, you spooned a ghost? Yeah, Aykroyd confirmed. Maybe the guy was gay and he wanted to have some fun. I'd be surprised if I was his type. But when you're dead, you'll take what you could get. So there's 7 celebrities who apparently made sweet love by the fire, just like Chef wanted, with ghosts.
Well, I suppose since, when we pass away, I suppose we can come back in some form or another and do that. It just breaks all kinds of, guardrails for me. It really does, just to even think about that. So
Why? You're troubled by that?
yeah, I am. It's I like to envision us as a something more pure than our earthly wants and desires. Once we pass away, you know what I mean? How would you carry that on? It doesn't seem feasible to me. Or we leave the old body behind and we move on. I don't see how that we would take our desires with us like that, like sexual desires. I just don't see that. That's just me.
Wow. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Lee, with 5 minutes to go. Would you?
Anyway, later on, and now, not after I'm dead.
If a ghost, let's say, okay, who is someone who is deceased who you had a crush on? Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield?
Yeah, I suppose, Dave. I definitely wouldn't.
So Jane Mansfield's ghost. Okay. And since you're much older than me, I would say mine would be like Lonnie Anderson.
Yeah, well, she's great. She's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
WKRP.
In Cincinnati.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
She was beautiful in WKRP.
Sure. I mean,
okay, so let's go. Let's just pick anybody. Doesn't matter. Okay. Comes down, sneaks into extra small Lee Strauss's room, sees you wearing one of your body hugging t-shirts on you because you got them that svelte look with muscles. All right. You do.
The leopard underwear, of course,
And the leopard underwear, yes.
Yeah.
Not the boxers, the briefs. Silk leather underwear. Of course. Silk leopard underwear, yes. All right. Probably a little Billy Ocean playing in the background in order for you to, relax and go to sleep. A little Caribbean Queen, It's the kind of guy
Dave,
you are.
I don't think that I would resist much.
And all of a sudden, the ghost of Jane Mansfield comes down, negligee, and starts making sweet love to you. Are you in?
Okay.
Jane
All right.
Mansfield. Beautiful.
Okay. Sure.
I will go, and look, I know I'm going to be very unpopular when I say this. Okay. I think Jane Mansfield was way more beautiful than Marilyn Monroe.
Why?
I do.
You sure put me in the hot seat tonight there, buddy. I am squirming in this chair like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. You're sweating. I can tell.
Yeah, I'm sweating right now, and that's because it's hotter than heck in his room right now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying, and I realize that many people won't agree with me. I do believe that Jane Mansfield was way more beautiful than Marilyn Monroe. I do. Maybe I'm wrong. I understand the popularity of Marilyn Monroe. I understand the fantasy.
Yeah.
But for me, if I had the choice, Jane Mansfield all the day and all the night. I mean, I got to find somebody new after Katy Perry broke my heart.
Yeah. How did she do that?
Started dating Justin Trudeau.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
The most hated Canadian ever.
I did not.
I mean, what a bad year for Katy Perry. First, she claims that she's an astronaut, which she's not. Okay. And then dating Justin Trudeau, the most hated Canadian, literally since his father. And nobody hates Canadians.
No.
Okay? Canadian people do not hate other Canadian people.
No.
Except the Trudeaus.
Well, I don't think any American people hate any Canadians either. I don't think. No, you guys are.
Well, Gary Bettman does. The commissioner of the NHL, he hates Canadians. That's why we haven't won a Stanley Cup in 31 years. But that's for another conspiracy time. But I'm telling you, breaking my heart that my celebrity crush, Katy Perry, dating the most despised man that Canada has produced in the last 50 years.
Well, if I look, Belinda Carlisle.
Oh, I loved her.
Oh my gosh. I think that was my celebrity crush when I was younger.
My celebrity crush, to be honest, was a model actress named Heather Thomas. She starred in The Fall Guy. Oh, I loved her. I had every poster of her in my room. I did. That was it. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
I remember watching those videos on MTV over and over and over again. Good Lord.
I know. There's a little inside info on Dave there. Celebrity crush, heartbroken. Heartbroken. It's terrible.
Well, maybe they'll break up, Dave. You never know.
Yeah, but you know what? You can't go there now. You can't even try. After she's been Trudeau'd, okay, you can't even try.
The grapes have been soured.
The grapes have been soured. Extra small Lee Strauss, thanks for coming on the show. As we say goodnight to you and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. I guess I took it down the gutter a little bit with that one, eh?
Oh my. Yeah.
Spectrophilia Elite.
Well, now I need a bumper sticker that says that.
Uh-huh. You know, that'd be a good t-shirt, Spectrophiliac.
There you go. That would be a attention getter.
Yeah. We'll put a picture of Merle on there.
Beautiful.
That would be good.
Make it so.
Hey, what time are you leaving home?
I'll be leaving about 4 a.m.
Okay. Let's see here. Take the Abbotsford or Aldergrove crossing. Do not go the Surrey crossing. You will be pulled over.
Really?
Yes. I think Aldergrove opens at like 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Abbotsford's open 24 hours a day.
Okay.
Warden Dragon, how are you? My brother and my friend and mentor, the talented Eugene Braxton. How much love do I have for thee? Thank you for coming in, my friend. Sarah Yon, you're awesome. PRM, how's it going?
So the Abbotsford Crossing.
Applesauce, how are you? Jim Lucier, what's going on? Yeah, so when you get off on the Guide Meridian at Bellis Fair Mall, okay, what you do is, so in Bellingham, you turn off on the, okay, the first thing you do when you get up, start climbing up the hill past Bellis Fair Mall, there's a Taco Bell there on the right. Okay, there's a Taco Bell there. So
I know where you're going. I already know it.
well, I'm
Gotta
just saying.
stop and- Taco Bell is not going to be open when I get through there.
All right. Okay, I'll give you that one. So let's see. You're just south of Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Are you in Tacoma or in between?
Yeah, I'm in Tacoma. Yeah.
Okay. So you'll the night before you'll go to Frisco Freeze and get a couple of burgers. Because it's been about 30 years since I had a Frisco Freeze burger. And I know the recipe has not changed. I would ask for a milkshake too, but I don't think the milkshake will make it.
Mm-mm.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to drive the I-5 up. So you're about 2.25 hours from the border.
Yeah.
No, Tacoma's probably 2.5 hours.
Yeah. That's about right. 2.5.
Okay. So when you get to Bellingham, you hang a right. And at the Bellis Fair Mall exit, that puts you on what they call the Guide Meridian.
Oh, like you're going to Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go on the Guide Meridian, and as you come to the crest of the top of the hill, there's a Taco Bell on the right. Okay. Just saying. When you get to Linden, Washington, if that Taco Bell is closed, when you get to Linden, Washington, there is a Taco Time there. They don't open until like 10, though, and you'll be well beyond that. Okay, so once that happens and you get there, you hit the border. Obviously, you gave yourself lots of time for the border in case they pull you over.
That and the fact that I
Abbotsford.
don't know what the traffic is like either. So
Aldergrove, you'll sail right through. Hold on, what time does the the Aldergrove border opens at I believe 8 a.m. That seems a little late. Seems a little late. Anyways, the signs will tell you if it's open or not. If the signs say that Aldergrove is closed, then just hang a right at the intersection there. There'll be the little church on the corner, and then you make a right, like you're turning to go towards Baker.
okay.
Then you follow that to the Abbotsford border crossing, and then once you get across the border, whether it's Aldergrove or Abbotsford,
Yeah.
then what you do is you are only 4 hours from my house from there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now, actually.
Debaruni.
Aldergrove. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I don't want to go through Sumas.
Sumas would be your second choice.
Okay.
But you don't want to go to any of the border crossings that are closer to Vancouver.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Hey, but I'm gonna go. I got to get up at 4. Not 4. I got to get up early anyway. I'm heading out this weekend, so.
Not a problem, buddy. Thank you for a great show. Hope your spectrophilia is satisfying this weekend.
We'll see. I'll let you know.
Be safe, okay? We'll see you.
All right. Later.
We'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Right. Extra small Lee Strauss right there. All right. And let's go here. There we go. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it the weekend. Wouldn't that be something if Lee actually did bring me back some Taco Bell? I will see you on Monday. Sweet Robbie G is off this weekend, but he will have some replays for you. He is having to travel north to in California and then over to Nevada. And so I will be here on Monday. Dick Landon, Astral Projection, will be our guest. Thank you to Frankie B becoming a new member on our YouTube channel, along with Blue Cruz, Candace, Trucker Andrew, Dutch Hank, JSCO, Kitty Caddywhack, Mel WD40, Forrest Louie, Walter, and Creepy Pasta for the great super chats. I love each and every one of you. Do me a favor. Tell your friends about this show. Let's grow this together. Let's get our audience base a little bit bigger. And Cat Chaser, you'll notice you now have a wrench because you had one before. So, yeah. Love you all. You all take care. And have a great, safe weekend.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.